Well, you can get to doing whatever you need and want to do. Don't mind me.
All right. I mean, we are. Who's this guy? Okay. EQ, enter pre-EQ, dynamic, EQ in. Yep. Yeah, and then we have some outboard compressors that we can use. So why don't we start at the most familiar place, which is labeling, right? Know what we're getting ourselves into.
Yep. Where's the scribble strip?
Right here.
It doesn't have LCD screens. I can't work in these conditions.
You can't color code it either.
I can't.
Actually, the way I used to color code was just different Sharpies, you know? I mean,
The way.
My favorite is using crayons and then I eat crayons afterwards.
Are you a Marine? I have like pencil and then snack time.
I just look up to them, you know.
this is actually going to be really good for me because I've gotten so used to working on the SSL at Abbey Road that I've just kind of been in SSL land. So it'll be nice to get on the Neve again. All right, so where are we at? A sharp. Thank you. So we got kick. Yep, we have a kick in and a kick out, which I know is more of a live thing than a studio thing, but it's still nice to have. A snare top, snare bottom.
Well, actually, I think we do
Hat.
kick in, kick out plenty in the studio.
Yeah, you do? Good. They think I'm crazy at Abbey.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. They don't do kick in?
No, they do. They just do a fet. You know what I mean? Like, I think they've just gotten used to that old way that, like, everybody's like, you want a PZM in your kick? I was like, yeah, of course I do. And they were like, why? And I was like,
are they doing like 57
but-
on the beater side or something?
no,
What do they do for attack?
I don't know. No, just use a fet, whatever. All right, so hat, rack 1, rack 2,
Are they still like
rack
over?
3.
They just rely on the room mics? Like, why don't you want that?
It's like right next to.
So if I may, what
Oh,
was
right.
what's the console that
Oh,
was
this is,
used
yeah,
at the
this
event?
is actually what it is. So those got labeled differently. So actually, can you change that now, Eli? It's rack 1, rack 2, rack 3, floor, boom gong,
Oh, yeah.
then overheads, right? 11 and 12.
Yeah. You said boom gong?
Yep, boom gong. Wait, I should make you guys do this work. I'm making you guys do this work. I'm not doing this work. I will stand by. I'm
Walk away.
It's impossible. You can't do it.
One of the best teachers I had, we were on an SSL in school, and we tried to be getting tape returns, and he, when nobody's looking, he would just like
14,
select some
15
random
piano.
mode on the console. Be like,
Yeah.
well, how come it doesn't work? Figure it out. And we'd all sit there scratching our heads trying to figure out why the board doesn't have signal coming back.
Oh, that's my favorite way to teach people things.
Right.
Because I break
Figure
it
it
deep.
Right. He's like, here's your test.
Guilty.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Figure it out.
I don't know why it doesn't work. That sounds like a you problem.
Yeah, that's a good problem.
18 and 19 is the Buddy's Guitars, yeah?
Yep.
Rick Guitars,
Your stereo guitar.
yes. 22 is,
Stereo.
22 and 23 are guests. At the casino, we had no guests.
so we won't need it.
So we won't need it.
I'm just going to leave it in case we swap to another file. We'll just leave those as guest channels. 24,
24 is Brittany. 25 is Roland.
yep.
I would argue we should ignore them, but I
Yep.
would leave that up to you.
Is that how you guys have them patched up front? I go the other way.
This is just a straight copy of the front house patch, yeah. Got it. Let's see. 26 is vocal wireless, so the house wireless. Uh, 27 is Dan's vocal, and 28 is Buddy's.
Huh. All All right, so 26, I don't know that we even use that, but wait, so 26 is wireless vocal?
Yeah, 26 is like Buddy's house mic.
Okay, but that's only when he walks out in the audience.
Correct.
I don't even know if it got used this night. Oh, it did.
Well, it definitely did because he went.
Yep, that's
fucking
right.
flying.
That's right. Okay, so then 27 is Dan, which is only for the intro,
Yep.
and
I
then
really missed out.
BG vocal is 28.
BG's 28. We can skip 29 and 30. I'm
Yep.
just gonna leave those muted. We'll just kind of talk about.
Yep, and 31, 32 is the audience mics.
Sir.
Why? Can you do me a favor? Can you double patch to 28 and 29 for vocals for Buddy so that we can also do a parallel compression channel?
Yes. I should.
If these guys want to do that. I don't know if can you double sign or how would you do that? Yeah, you could do that. Oh yeah, you could literally just go into the track mode and just copy and paste the track to no track, and then we'll have one. It doesn't matter, yeah.
First of all, I'm not actually doing that. If I can do that, so let me fuck that up. Just gonna duplicate this track.
So, I've actually only been here one time, and it was to do a hard time for recording, and I didn't finish it. So I'm going to be asking a lot of stupid questions.
There's no stupid questions. We're here to learn. We're here to work with each
I
other.
did little air quotes, but I appreciate that's up to date.
Only allow stupid answers.
I can provide that.
So, as we're getting started, one thing we should think about is just in terms of like, do you guys want to do any kind of buses? Do you want to do VCAs? Do you want to do subgroups? Do you want to do any kind of bus compression or group, EQing? Or do you want to just mix it straight? So, I'm perfectly content to take a step back and then kind of come in and provide guidance, but I think the best way to learn to mix is kind of figure that out. I will say for myself, I depend heavily on buses and VCAs. I think that having a drum bus, especially having a parallel compression bus, like a squash bus, is really, really helpful for the drums on a rock band. I recommend you set that up. You definitely have the equipment to do it. As to what flavor of equipment you want, because we're at Omega, we have some really beautiful stuff to use. That's going to be a lot of this patching over here. I trust that some of you graduates had to patch. Okay, so again, I don't want to direct it so much as I would say start thinking about your channels. If you want to start monitoring stuff, start thinking about how you want to assign to your VCAs and your groups, and let's move forward. So who's in charge?
Start.
Cool.
Let me give you a loop of a more upbeat song.
Cool.
You probably start with kicker then. Unless you want to start. That's a serial bus there.
Yeah, it would be over there.
Franklin.
I think this is supposed to be up. Serial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then where's your monitoring level? Your control room monitors?
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
Cool. Keep in mind of that's how we're going to be listening. So
I think it's this one.
you're not going to be moving your master fader. You'll be moving the control room. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Horrible thing. I don't know my glasses, but
I feel like we could put a gate on this.
Yup.
yeah.
Yep. It's cool to listen to
Why
it.
do I hear Rick?
Isn't that a great question? This is a side note.
Buddy's right there.
I know there's a. Yeah.
Exactly. This one.
My sounds like too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll
No,
put
no,
it
no.
before-
I'm just
I can't.
curious just to listen back to what these mixes are that I've been feeding these guys.
Yeah, we can totally do that.
Oh yeah, you could do that. Yeah, absolutely.
If we
Ooh,
were
that sounded good.
More like so that you know,
All
when
my
you
buttons
use
are cut off.
it,
Just
it's
still
still
get
get
usually
usually the guitar.
You go to Wave's site and download an F6
Well, it's not bad.
I
with,
mean,
with my account. I don't know. Oh, we would have to have Wave
Still
sound
a
grid.
bit
hard.
install we'd have to kill Pro Tools, install Wave Central,
Central.
then we would have to sign into your
I don't
account, install the plugin.
It's not worth
Well, that
it.
might be good for now. I mean,
Then
you
they
might
have
honestly
to
just want to
crash
keep
and
putting
turn
stuff
on
into the
anything.
mix because you don't
Yeah.
know what it's gonna sound like.
play it.
That's right. I just wanted to try to keep it
Yeah,
isolated.
no.
Don't change the status of its operations.
Are there inline filters?
Did we get the polarity on the snare?
I don't think we did that. No.
Well, one thing at a time. Let's start with the kick. Before we get too far ahead, it's pretty heavily gated.
Oh, I was thinking I was changing everything with that one, but I guess we had two going on here.
Could you start it from the top, Eli? Sorry. Okay, so one thing we have to think about gating in live is just also, you're going to have to think about this in the studio too. There's a lot of background noise, but also he's a very dynamic drummer. So if we gate it too low, we're going to start gating those actual kicks. They're not going to get through. So right now they're
Soft
getting
kicks.
through, but we also have to keep in mind of the context of like, what if he goes into a soft point of the song? This is here it's starting to have that issue.
You want some soft song? How about a soft part?
Yeah, give me a soft part.
So we need a range open.
Correct. So now you hear out clicking. Got to think about that in live because that's going to have a huge impact. If you don't have it fully opening and closing, see how it sounds incomplete.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the things we have to think about where our threshold is on that gate. And this is again, it's not perfect, right?
Yeah.
Because you'd love to have that threshold high, but then when he's soft on it. So
Right.
on Digital World, if I want to, I can just have a fast hotkey that disengages my gate if he's playing soft. In the studio, that's a little bit more work. So
Right.
these are things to just think about.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's starting to get through. All right, then take it to a heavy part now. And let's think about the attack and release time on that kick and see if it sounds full. Attack and release is pretty good. Of course, we have more digital tools. We could get more surgical, but we're at a place to start. What about EQ? Do we want to do an EQ on it?
Let's see.
EQ's down here. So that's engaged. What kind of frequencies do you want to either remove or emphasize?
I get rid of the high frequencies.
So that kind of punchiness, right, is like a little too much, right? It's a little too basketball-y, not enough bottom, right?
Right. Also, a lot of the high frequencies just come from the bleed too.
Right, exactly. So where do you start? What would you do? Well, do it on the right channel.
Oh, sorry. Brain.
Sneaks right past that bass. Sneaks right past it. Pops through those wedges. Yeah. Look at my show file.
I know that the drums and the bass should be.
It's all smiles.
Yep.
You'll feel
We'll get there.
Anything with low frequencies should have high.
So, I mean, this is the shelf. So this is saying which mode this is in. So, but basically your boost and cut here, and then your frequency selection.
So, essentially, like each day, I'm picking
Frequency selection,
one of the musicians
and then boost and
working
cut.
on your stuff.
Okay, and that's going to be the same on all these. Boost, cut, okay.
You haven't asked me.
And then this is your bandwidth, Q, frequency selection. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
High Q will change the Q of the.
That's why I
Okay.
like talking about like dragging those things.
So, I mean,
recording.
where are we at? So what I would typically do is go to find the fundamental of the frequency of the kick, which is going to be somewhere in this range of around 40 to 60. I'm going to try to emphasize that a little bit.
They're not going to tell you.
Now a little more body comes in. I'm going to go typically sometime where that dippiness is around 200. Put a nice tight cue on it. Just kind of take that back a little bit. And let's try that high cue. Observe it. Okay, so let's listen. What happens with the EQ out? Okay, but it's a little dead, right? It's a little dead up top. So maybe we got to work in some of those high frequencies back a little bit. We don't want the basketball necessarily, but we want some body there. Let's disengage the gate. Put it back in. Loop the file, please, Eli.
Sorry. Maybe the release could maybe.
Yep, because it's a little too fast, right? Go ahead.
I mean, you think it's too fast? You think? I feel like maybe it's a little too long.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I could try to bring it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It's catching too much at the end. Yeah. So you could shorten that up. Okay, cool. So this is great. We've accomplished a pretty decent kick sound. We don't even have dynamics in. This is no compression. This is just
gate.
it's a gate, but no compression. I guess I'm saying. Let's just again, if we A/B our stuff, easy way to do it, take it out. Have we made positive gains by inserting this EQ in this gate? Are we all in agreement? This is our process all day long in engineering. Listen to an instrument, make your changes. Does it work in context of itself? And then as we move on, these low frequency instruments, when we get to the bass, is the kick and the bass going to work together? Are all the drums going to work together? But this is our process. It's just repeating. How do we make this kick sound as good as it can? Then we move on to the next mic and repeat. So, cool. We've done this at least. And now here's the thing, too. There's never an end. It's just refinement. Okay? We get it to a point where we feel like, okay, this is better. Then we'll go back and listen. How do we get it better? So, got a rough end kick. Let's start on our next mic. This is another kick mic. How does this differentiate from this kick mic? How can we utilize these things together?
Phase.
What kind of polarity issues might happen combining two low instruments together, right? So play around, see what you can get. Let's focus on just getting a really nice fat kick, okay? What's that?
Phase is frequency dependent. If you just cut enough EQ, there's nothing to phase.
This one doesn't want to stay in.
Well,
I find myself doing that with kicks.
Oh, yeah.
Between in and out, like I don't often find myself flipping a phase, just EQ them, sort of unconventional way.
yeah, you lose a lot of that.
Efficiency of diaphragms. I just want the click. I don't want any of that stuff.
Yeah. Do you want to mix the kick out by itself?
Let's do it. Just play around with it.
Good idea.
Yep.
Yep, listen to it in context of itself, apply a gate if necessary. And you can probably, because it's the same instrument, use the guidelines of your previous gate settings to get you close.
Mind if I? Or-
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, let me get it.
That's not going to work.
Trying to get a decent range.
Could be different too if you look at the difference of the input gain between 1 and 2. 2's a little hotter, so you'll probably have a different threshold. And you do have on the Neve, you can see the gates opening and closing. You have the visual reference.
Yeah.
Is there emo in there? Is there any wave stuff or no?
There's not a lot of the newer wave stuff. Like there's C4, but not a C6.
Okay.
So like D9. But then there's also like stack
It's engaged, yeah.
Well, here's it out. So you're losing a lot with what we're doing.
Oh shoot! I think I was messing with this one.
No, you're messing.
I was just that. Okay. I thought for a second I was messing with this one again. For accident.
Maybe raise your threshold a little bit.
Yeah. Not getting anything from the threshold. Which is that fast
There you
attack?
go.
No, I like that.
Yeah, it's gonna need the fast attack, of course. But it's gonna need a little
Oh.
clicky there.
Should we bring like the gain down a little bit? I wanted to see this one real quick. I want to make sure I didn't change anything with that.
Clickiness with the attack, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just fix.
A little more release time. Cool. So let's listen to both 1 and 2. Listen to 1 first, then 2, and then let's see what the combined together listen like. Let's just listen to 1. Okay, let's listen to 2.
Oh, I like
Right.
that. Second one sounds better. A little bit.
So the 2,
That's quieter.
it's quieter, but we haven't done any EQing on it yet, have we?
No, we haven't.
Let's put some body in it.
This is shelf select.
Yep. Don't be afraid to push buttons, guys. Listen, engage it. How does it sound? Does it make it better? Does it make it worse? Does it make it a cool effect? Use your ears.
If it's not in shelf, is it a bell?
Correct.
Oh.
And then you'll notice on here that you have a Q, which is going to change the bandwidth of that. How many frequencies? This is very narrow. This is very wide, and so this will affect more frequencies. This will affect a tighter frequency.
But not
This
on
is-
the low and high?
So it is dependent upon the frequency selector knob. Okay, so this is going anyway from 2K down to 190 hertz. So it's like boost and cut. Okay, the frequency selection is here. Okay, and then the Q is here. So whatever frequency we select, say we want to boost 500 hertz, we would find 500 hertz, boost it, and then select roughly, do we want to just 500 hertz or a lot of things around 500 hertz? Does that make sense?
But that's just for these two nits?
Correct. So that's correct. So what you're noticing is the gray ones are linked together, and then the blue ones are linked together. So the color coding helps a little.
And the high Q, does that change the range?
Correct. So the high Q is really narrowing the Q further.
Ah, there we go. I think that sounds a little better. I'm gonna go back a little bit.
That's nothing.
We still have unanswered questions about why Q is skinnier with higher numbers.
Yeah, I have
It's
to
a
look.
ratio, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Is it a ratio?
We
A
couldn't
ratio
figure it
of
out.
what? What is the ratio of?
dB per octave. Yeah, that makes sense.
Decibels per octave.
That
How
would
wide
make
the Q
sense.
is? Ah, yeah, that makes sense.
Same 3 dB boost over 1 octave is 3 over 1 is 3. Same dB boost of 3 dB over 3 octaves is 3 over 3 is 1.
Makes sense.
So that's
Makes
a
a lot of
smaller
sense.
number.
If you want, we can
It's fatter.
Now you
have a
know.
little bit of the.
And knowing is half the battle.
How is that though? 25 years. Couldn't get a straight explanation.
We
had
had like an hour
four
long
sentences.
Sounds
discussion
so-
the other day.
Yeah. We had a long conversation about that.
It's like a
There are a
pop.
couple parts where
Well,
it really
then somebody's got to
pops
explain
in.
wire gauge to me. Wire gauge.
Yeah.
The 20 gauge is smaller around than the 12 gauge.
What is the
I can't do that one.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Right.
This one.
Believe.
About that one.
Actually, don't remember. I'll tell you in a second.
So we can also look on our second channel. The dynamics is an opening.
Oh yeah, we're just getting signal. Wait a minute.
is representing your gate open. Yellow is closing or hold. So think about that.
Just doesn't sound good.
Yeah. Trying to figure out what's going on here.
Try longer hold.
No, there's no dynamics.
Oh, you know what? I think you have to turn this thing.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Oh wait. This I think turns on like the There we go. This I think turns on like the threshold.
There you go.
Yeah.
And now you're open. Closing. So look at your settings.
I just wish I would have done this 6 months ago when I was still fresh on this console.
Yeah, I think the one on the right. A gate's a gate.
Yeah.
Whether it's on the console or upward.
I think there might be a latch issue on this phone.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Doesn't seem to be engaging properly. Alright, so maybe we'll just bypass the gate on this for now. And use less of it.
Did we need food yet?
A little bit. Put some funniness in there.
So we have two things here. We have something that has a nice attack. Yeah. Has a little bit around. I feel like the basketballiness of it is a little bit innocuous, right? Like
Yeah.
the 400 sort of stuff. So maybe what we can do is zone in on that a little bit more. How's that feel? A little
Yeah,
bit,
got
a
it.
little bit less.
Kickball or basketball.
And then, yeah, a little more dodgeball-y.
Yeah, a little more dodgeball.
And then we have this is very low end, not a lot of attack. You can center that around 40, 50 hertz. We'll try this.
What if I try something with the gate? Oh.
Crunchy.
Inline consoles.
Yeah.
That's why you exercise the pause. Alright. That's quite pleasant, isn't it?
I like that.
So we have a nice attack, we have a nice sustain. It's got a nice bottom end. No compression yet. Do we want to do anything with the onboard compression, or do you guys want to do bus compression? What do you think?
I feel like we should try out all the drums together and then
Try to get it, so we'll get just a drum mix together, then we'll push it to a compression bus? So polarity, I noticed, is inverted on one channel, not the other. Is that
Yes.
intentional?
Yes.
Yeah,
Cool.
and actually this one does not even want to stay in.
Okay, cool. So, alright, cool. Let's mute these up. Let's listen to our snare, and then we'll listen to the snare and the kick together. That's a great place to start, right? Kick and snare, that's your fundamentals. Cool, guys.
Oh, no, we got
Oh,
bleed in there. A lot of bleed. Yeah, we gotta do some gating.
Ah, a snare. Beating a snare?
You gotta be careful with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta be careful with that.
Goes to the lower tip. So it's not hitting stairs.
What?
Oh, because it's like snare is the most dynamic instrument on the stage.
Yeah.
Super quiet, then it doesn't cut through. Oh, now what? There's no snare. So a lot of times I don't gate. I might gate my snare bottom.
Yep.
Very rarely gate my snare top. I will EQ and use high pass to get rid of junk. But like what you're doing right now might sound good in this context at this level, but as soon as we're in a more dynamic, softer son, suddenly his snare hits aren't getting through the PA. Lessons learned the hard way.
Yeah. Is there a way we could probably like compress it after it's gated? No?
You can always compress after it's gated, sure. Yeah.
Because that kind of pulls everything out
Yep.
and then kind of brings that up.
Yeah.
We should
There's multiple ways. You know, the thing is like you can gate before you compress, or compress before you gate. Sometimes it might be beneficial to do one before the other. It's a listening game. What is the desired effect?
Yeah, I feel like one part of me feels like the gating after compressing would screw it up because it's like
Yes, because
Oh,
if you've compressed it, you've squashed the dynamics.
right,
Makes it
and
harder.
it's gonna make it sound like.
Correct.
Yeah,
I don't want to do that. Massive Curse and a bunch of other backup, the hi-hats for the rap top.
Using the because then there's other symbols.
Taking everything and squashing it.
Yeah.
So everything, all the transients in the same spot.
Right.
If there's any left, depending on how much you run it.
Right. Yeah, I feel like gating is always the best to do first if there's anything to gate, and then take it and squash it. You know, that way. Oh, also maybe we can try switching between speakers. So
Yeah, we can definitely check our near fields versus our fars.
yeah,
You know.
that way we can kind of get a good balance or make sense of.
So what's your thoughts on the snare?
Try to do a little bit, maybe try to get out some of the
Double level one.
Kind of deadens it though. We lose some of the high end crispiness.
Keep that shelf. So when they turn up.
There you
Yeah,
go.
There you go. I like that. That's
Cool.
good.
Consider now the context of your second snare, or just listen to just your second and then together.
Ooh, that's very high. Very high.
But it's the rattle, right? So what I would do in both of these cases is like, what frequencies do I really need out of my snare? And how high can I run my high pass filter to get rid of all that junk? In my snare bottom, all I want is that rattle. So I can run that high pass filter up to like 500 hertz, doesn't matter. I don't need any of that other stuff. And then the blending of the two is what helps. So it's like, this is providing like some front end image, but the body of the snare is on the snare top.
Like one focuses more on the lower part.
Correct.
The other focuses on the higher part. You just gotta figure out how to focus.
Yep.
Find a good middle ground.
For the most part, if you got two microphones on the same source, because you want each microphone to do a different job. Right?
Has different
Like,
frequencies.
one of them's capturing all the body or something, one of them's capturing all the mic.
You probably use like one
Like the
microphone.
kick in and out, like the kick catches all the back and the out catches all the body or something.
And also having two different microphone selections, one for specific, one low end.
Yeah.
Play with the dynamic. I feel like there's still like that urge to want to put a gate a little bit before we compress. It's up to you.
I mean, how much do you worry about, like, the amount of bleed in the snare?
I think that
'Cause
what
once you get to the full mix, it's a question of how much is it going to matter.
I mean, this is again, it's like these are things I'm talking to you guys about in real world. This is what my snare sounds like on that stage.
Yeah.
And so when I turn that snare up, what do you hear right now? You hear snare, you hear cymbals, you hear the background guitar, you hear some bass. How can I make that sound more like a snare without losing the energy of the snare? And it's compromises, right? And so like I'm not gonna gate it because I feel like I'm gonna lose too much. What I will do most nights is I'm gonna put a high pass filter to get rid of everything up to at least 100 hertz. You know, get rid of that bass stuff. Next thing I'm gonna do is compress it, or use a primary source enhancer to get right down to the beat of it. I do a lot of channel compression on my drums, and then also do bus compression. I'll do a glue, but like for me, a snare needs comp on it. It just does. And so I would prefer most nights to do an inline comp on my snare, and then I'll hit a crush bus with it as well.
You do crush bus?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So typically for me, I double assign. I'll do my kick, snare, and toms to a crush bus, which I have like probably an 8-to-1 or a 6-to-1, something really heavy, and then I smash it hard, and that gives me that nice punch. But I still, before it hits that crush bus, I'm gonna do 2 to 3 dB just on the channel strip, just to keep it in a dynamic range. Because snare, again, if he's playing jazzy, then I have to bring the level up. But if he's really whacking it, I need something. So my recommendation would be to try to get a nice compressor with a fast attack, moderately slow release, enough time for it to come back out, and see how that kind of gives you more punch. Then blend your kick, then you blend your snare low, snare bottom.
So like, can you just
Yeah. So where is it? Do you have a?
Well, we're not gonna-
That's the gauge. So where's our comp at? Yep. So threshold, and then where do we see our?
That's good.
And then the ratio, we'll do just a 2-to-1. Medium release. Let's listen to the difference. Bring that threshold back. Without it? With it. Wow, which punches? Sure. Works here in this song. Will it work in another song? I don't know. But we can keep it in for now if you like it. But you do hear.
whatever you do.
My thought would be.
Leave it in for now. Yeah, see what happens.
All right.
There's transient on there.
Let's listen to
Don't
the
wait
snare
for the
bottom.
other stuff.
It sounds great right now.
Yeah, it does.
Good job, Pinky.
So we should scoop
That's
out
there.
for all the highs.
So, do we have high pass filter on this console? Where is high pass filter?
Oh,
Yep. And where's it rolled to, and is it engaged? So this is 50, 80, 100. So this is your selection. So as we go up, hear that? So again, we should do the same thing on this guy. Just get rid of some of those lows. We don't need 80 hertz in this, right? We don't need the bass in this. So let's get that out of the way. Again, engaged versus not engaged. Let's listen to that difference.
We're in Rick's solo. So they can get the whole band into that.
So now we don't have to do as much of this. See, this is the interesting. Here's the thing with EQ. When you're doing that, you're also throwing a giant phase problem into the LE.
yeah.
Okay, by especially doing something that drastic. But if you're using your high pass filter to just filter out those frequencies that you don't need, then you can have this left to be able to have more frequency control in the low end. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
So-
things in there.
Yeah. So don't subject yourself to using your low frequency as a cut whenever you can just get rid of it with your high pass filter first. That's just a good piece of advice in general.
I pass everything. Is that what you want in the stuff?
Yeah, high pass everything that you don't need those frequencies in.
Yeah. For the purpose of mixing
feel like
live
I
things, don't even bother
accidentally
putting this on the
made a
little, so
change
you can just leave it on the big ones. and
Okay.
the rest of it is for not high passing.
Make sure the kinks are coming out good. I think it was supposed to kick out. But I mean,
Oh, and there's also a subwoofer back there that we can hook up
Cool.
if we wanted to.
I think we'll just listen to it in its context now, and we can get there later. But yeah, I think our kicks are sounding nice.
Okay.
I like the kick.
Kick and snare, everybody? Sounds like kick and snare. Cool. Let's move on. Let's get the rest of the drum styled. Hat, and then this is where we're really going to get our gates tight, is on all these guys, right? Okay, this is where our gating's going to come in really handy. Get that hat figured out. And just keep in mind where you're monitoring at. Don't blow your ears up. We got a long day.
We have till 6, right?
Yeah, I think so. As long as Neil's tolerating us. exactly. And show them how different it is
Yeah.
between the two dynamics.
Sounds good, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You probably use a little gate.
Then it does
I don't know, because the hi-hat's always
Yeah, you're right. I think the hi-hat seems to kind of rise. You can kind of like flow with everything, right? So
In theory, yeah.
you cut it, might be.
Yeah, you can't gate it.
Yeah, it can't be.
Don't get the right.
The hi-hat has two indeterminate of a length time. Because if he closes it fast, it's fast. But if he rides it out, he can ride out. So
Right,
it's
right.
really hard to put a gate on that. Toms, you can gate.
Mhm.
Boom, 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 boom.
Right.
well, we can filter it.
You can trust your overhead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. How much do you, let me
A
refine
lot.
this up.
Probably compress the.
I mean, I tend to do a lot, but it's more. I feel like I'm faster
Probably
with
add a little
fatter shaft just to get rid of that. I want to hear that.
Yeah.
Right. You want it to sustain itself.
Yeah, that's all I try to capture.
Yeah.
But like, in varying degrees of success.
Happy with a pretty low ratio.
And sometimes, guys, you're also going to find out the way that hi-hat sounds is because that's the way that hi-hat sounds. You know, and it's like some hi-hats have more body, some of them have more just that clasp, some of it's your mic positioning. But you know, this is the way that hi-hat sounds.
When you recorded this, did you actually make adjustments when it was recording? Like.
So what you're getting right now is the direct inputs from the console, or not from the console, from the I/O. So this is basically just the XLR right into the I/O, and you're getting a copy of that. So this is pre anything I did on my desk.
Right off the
This
pre-app.
is exactly what he saw at the game.
Correct.
Before any changes were made.
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly.
This is what that mic sounds like through that radio.
I caught one.
Yeah. Yep. And I think that's the best. Like that's what I want you guys to work with, so you understand in live. Like these are really the challenges, right? Like none of this is easy, right?
Yeah.
You know.
Right. You gotta have good ears.
Yep.
Oh, and you have to do this in 5 minutes.
In 5
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah, all
Yeah,
this
on the spot. I mean, with live is not as forgiving as being in the studio.
Yep.
Because you're considering everybody being there at once.
Yep.
And then if something goes wrong, the whole
Exactly.
crowd will react.
Exactly.
And they'll be like, I don't want to go back there. If it's bad. Add maybe a little bit of reverb to the.
We'll get there. I think we'll do that once we get the drums. So for me, the context would be first get all of your instruments together,
I think I need
then you do effects last.
positive EQ this. I think it's what we need.
Hot dust.
There you go. So you're onto something, but widen it because you're way too narrow.
Just kind of squeezing.
Listen to it in context to your kick and snares. I feel like the snare could use a little more attack.
Okay.
I feel like it's a little too soft,
Yeah, some
either through EQ or where your gate is or whatever. It just feels kind of softed.
I feel like there's like full, like there's like a little bit
Yeah.
too much
Bottom,
edge.
not enough top.
Yeah.
Make it a little more smacky. See what you can do.
Yeah, so maybe you can make you do like a little bit of a low cut or something.
Well, I can put a fast attack in, but this is kind of ratio. Also, we see the top and bottom balance.
That's the stuff I like to think. So it's like, swing the knob all
Hmm?
Just bring this down.
There you go.
Yeah, that sounds a little bit more balanced.
How about that? How do you guys feel? Yep, maybe a little more.
I'm not hearing enough of it. That's
Cool. Let's mute those up and then start working on your toms. Oh, wait, Eli, could you just, for the gating, find some tom hits for them and just go through?
Is that rack 1?
Yep, rack 1, rack 2, rack 3, floor, and a boom gong is like a kind of like a sub low.
You probably start even play with the stereo image with these two.
Yep, exactly. So I think that's really important with toms. Should be a, you know, like think about how that panning can go to give you that depth, special perception. You know, I do 1, 2, 3, 4 typically because that's how they're viewed on
How it
stage.
is on the drum set.
Correct.
Yeah.
And if I were you, what I would do is I would start with just one tom and get as much of the background noise out as you can with it, with the gate, and then move on and gate the rest.
Copy it.
Yep, exactly. Be right back.
I feel like maybe you could probably try the dynamics first before we get to the Fine?
I like to boost the words a little bit with Tom.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea. Having that.
I actually, when I'm doing live, I like to try to put some of the toms in my subs a little bit, or at least the floor tom.
Get some tubby drums. I like tubby drums.
You're not on the right channel.
I'm not. Oh,
Wah, wah.
whoa, shoot. I gotta.
Come around this side. Stand in front.
I was gonna say, you gotta stand for,
I'm sorry about
you gotta get the habit. Yeah, look at the channel name first, then look up. I can't tell you how many times I've done it. But,
That's great. Should we listen to that real quick? Just so we.
yeah.
That way we. Put thin.
What did you play with?
Does anyone not have their sunglasses?
Oh, me. Oh,
They're
there.
in the bathroom.
Um,
I knew it.
do we want it?
gates? Is there just a on Pro Tools?
I still like digital gates because you can visualize it better.
Right. I mean, what do you want?
What do you have?
I have like the stock Pro Tools gates. I have. Maybe we can put a C1 on it.
C1's fine. Okay, cool. How about we disengage those gates and just do it digitally so that we have a little bit more precision?
Yeah. Which one do you want?
Cool. Eli, you want to show these guys where you would set a gate?
I like digital gates. Because
It's so much easier to visualize, I know. Yep.
the same with EQs.
Yep.
As much as I love the analog stuff, it's just so much easier to
Now, how nice is this, right?
Yes.
That let you change the knee.
Doesn't look like it.
Wow. Yeah, that's not too
Probably not a knee on the C1.
No, there doesn't seem to be.
Pretty good.
Probably wouldn't do much more than
Do you want the gates for anything else?
Yeah, let's copy and paste that all the way down to put it on 1, 2, 3, 4 floor. Put it on all the toms, and let's dial them all in one at a time. Can we? Let's go to just listen to one. Is one dialed?
just one, please.
So mute. So unmute. Yeah, just let's listen to just mute one.
No, this is muted.
Just
It's
one.
okay.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, that works too, but
Yeah, just one.
Help if I put some other toms in there.
Animal!
I'm gonna bring that forward down a little bit further.
That's pretty good.
I don't really want to fuck with that anymore.
Final mixes you can use.
Combination of
Board,
both.
Yeah.
Put an EQ before the gate. You get rid of the symbols so that the symbols don't trigger the gate.
Absolutely.
What do we got? Well, we do have emo plugins. So we just put Q4.
That's fine. Yep.
It's a little better.
Yep.
All right. You wanna
Go to Tom 2.
go to 2? You want some EQ on that one before the gate too, or are we all right with that?
We could do the same thing, I think. We probably just go ahead and copy that same plugin. Yeah, do that on across the board.
All right. Let's go to 3 then.
Go to 3. Is there anything in line on that channel strip, EQ, or is it? Is that zeroed?
Yeah, something doesn't sound right with that.
EQ isn't enabled.
Okay. Maybe it's just too high of a threshold.
It's on the first floor.
It's bypassed.
It's bypassed.
Not much coming out.
Let's just look at the overall input level.
Gain looks low.
Gain on all toms are a little bit low.
This is what we're using, right? Or is it? Yeah, line level. Turn all those up, but that might be a channel on the console thing.
There's nothing out of the 6 and 7 meters.
You want me just to boost the output on this?
Yeah,
one?
go ahead and just boost the output of that. That's fine. Yeah, okay. And then what's our next one? Floor?
Yep.
A little longer.
Not that long.
Try like a 60 release. Yep. All right, so let's go to the boom gong. Is there a spot? Yeah, there we go.
Honestly, I might not even fuck with that.
That's fine. So why don't we go to a portion of the song where we have all the tom rolls, and we'll open up all the toms,
Yep.
and just listen to them in context.
Actually, this has
All of it.
Yeah, let me
Let's-
go a little bit wider around it.
So
Open
yep,
them up.
you can go and open all of them. What do you think? Feels like we're kind of in a pocket.
It's a little thin.
We can dial it later. We're roughed in. I want to make progress on the whole of the mix. So why don't we open up all the drums and bring in the overheads?
Make it a little wider.
Should I link the overheads? Or I guess I should wait till we go back.
So let's get the high pass filters inserted on these overheads. Pan them hard left and right. Now you're getting somewhere, huh? Listen to it. No. Continuity's good. Nice work, guys. Sounds like a drum kit, doesn't it? Cool. Solo solos. Let's take a step back and listen. I feel like the kick might be a little too hot.
Maybe still a little hot.
Is that close the second plug-in you did for Link?
So link that one. Select and then now.
Try that to unlink that?
Same
Pretty nice, huh?
do you want to make a
Why don't we make a group?
PCA for that?
Yep. We'll sign it all, and then we'll bring it down and make sure it's all working. Nicely done. Good work.
They're a little feisty over there. But
They're a little angry, but they're flying taters.
they don't fly pretty. They fly nonetheless.
Cool. How about we bring in some bass? Start marrying the instruments.
Orlando.
mean, I'm not saying that I would use anything else, but if I were you, that is exactly what I would use on that base. The 160 on a base is beautiful. So how do you guys get that routed into the signal flow?
This is gonna be a test of my memory.
No.
I'm always curious how.
What channel is the bass coming out of?
We are on
13.
15?
13.
13, sorry.
Insertion send. 13. I hope. LA4. For the insert, which is oh, okay.
No, you want the 160. Believe me.
Proof that I'm doing work.
Try that now.
Make sure your insert's engaged on the channel, on the console. And then let's start messing with the parameters. Is it getting there and back?
Is it on gain reduction?
Is your patch correct?
It's insert sound out, insert return. Unless, yeah. It's on channel 13.
Yes. Are you seeing it at the compressor?
You got the right thing on this thing.
Hmm?
Sure you got the right thing on this thing.
We should be seeing it get to it. If it's
Oh, you're running the 1176.
No, we're running the 165.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're running the 1176. Not coming out of 1176.
there it is. There it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just gotta get the right compressor.
All right. Time to make it squashy.
Quick, flatten that shit. Grab the knobs.
Put it on gain reduction?
Push the buttons. It's probably the tuner button.
Third button underneath.
What ratio is it at? For this?
Compression, yeah. I guess it's 1 to 20. Yeah.
That's your ratio, yep. So find a nice ratio, get your threshold in so you're getting about, you know, good 3 to 4 dB of compression, and then use your makeup gain to get it back up to a nice nominal level. There you go. There you go. Feel that? How nice is that? And see that little bit of grit that it gets?
I want to say they had a different box in here.
Oh.
You gotta be careful with this.
Why? It sounds good. I think we're
of evens out where it keeps it nice in a pocket. So now what we got to do is get those drums squashed so they're in a pocket. So let's think about what kind of, if you guys want to do it either. For me, I think your best bet is probably to send those drums to a group and squash it, or you can do individuals on your kick and snare, but they need more body, right?
Yeah. I don't quite remember how to make that. I think you gotta go to the matrix. You want to try and send them to a group and then
Good work, guys. Good work. Anybody watching? Very cool.
It's not an
Got it.
Hold on. I think there's something here I need to do. Group? Yeah. Keep them down though. We don't want 'em-
Well, we've gotten all of our toms nicely gated. We used some gates, some C1s inside of Pro Tools just because we felt that they were a little bit more accurate than what we were able to do with the onboard gating. We put a 165 on the bass just to kind of even out things with a nice compressor. And so now we're working on basically routing all of our drums to a group to do some bus compressions and squashing. So if you guys want to brainstorm on how to make that happen.
I just not quite.
What's your philosophy right now? How are you getting it there?
I know we need to route it through the matrix.
Correct.
How did you patch it?
Get it.
Oh, you just did like a. Oh. Wait. I think maybe there needs to be like a. You gotta open chop.
done.
Nice.
Cool. So now we're
Great
seeing it
phone.
come up on the bus. Great. How can we get some? How do we make a squash bus? And what do we want to go to the squash bus? What do we not want to go to the squash bus?
Well, right now everything's in the squash.
Do you want to squash your overheads at the same rate that you're squashing your toms and your... For me, I would put the brass separate than the stuff I'm squashing. They can still go to your left, right, but you may not want to punish those as much as we're gonna squash the hell out of the kick and the snare.
Well, we can just not send them. So
Yep,
take
exactly.
those-
Just remove it.
Take those faders down. That should be fine.
That'll work.
That and that. And then,
And are they pan? Great.
do we want to use an outboard compressor squash?
I would think so, yeah. What do you got?
Well, we got the LA4s. We need 2 of them.
How are you routing to the compressor?
Yep. I would think you got those LAs or the 1176s. You use 2, one for left, one for right, you know, independent, so you have a little bit of control, but
Just have to think of what we're putting on the cymbals actually. If we use the 1176, then it's not going to work. If the cymbals, when you get LA4, you would have that on good for the cymbals. But I don't know how you guys think LA4 sounds on your own.
personally, I don't really squash my cymbals in the same buses. You know what I mean? Like, probably the cymbals, I would just use the onboard compressor for that. But you know, yep, and we can even do that in Pro Tools if we want. You know, if you guys just want to put a C4 or something in there, we can do that. Or any of those things. But I think a real 1176 on your drum box is a beautiful way to start. But if you don't like it, patch it in and see what it sounds like. See, the other thing too is great. It's like maybe you don't like the way 1176 sounds, patch an LA2A, patch something else. But just make sure you have 2 that are the same. So you have the same for left, right.
I know we can put the processor on a channel and then just send it to it. I don't quite remember.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Input on one of them. Oh yeah, input on both of them.
Cool. They should be engaged. So let's get at least a good 4 or 5 dB of reduction there, and then make up the output. Yes, there we go. See that body start to come in? Feel it now? Yeah. That crush bus, that crush bus is a beautiful thing for drums. side. Next side down.
Yeah.
I like the one. Yeah. What if I bring the input up a little bit? Go for it.
How much would be too much reduction?
Let's take a look.
Okay, so what I will do is just start with turn these release times super fast. See how faster that goes?
Oh, this is actually going.
Yeah, so it's backwards. So slower release, faster release. This
I
is the
thought-
1176s are like this. So sorry,
I thought I was going.
0.7. All right, see, so it goes backwards. Now,
That's why it was not.
this is the pumpiness I want. See how that works? Boom, now we're doing just that nice reduction. We want to listen to a different compression ratio. We'll say we want to go 8 to 1. What does that sound like? More squash. Not necessarily 12 to 1. Ugh. 20 to 1. Oh, there's no life in it. But 4 to 1 is nice. Got body.
Yeah.
Okay. That attack, again, if we speed up that attack, you're going to see it move faster. So I'm going to go somewhere right in the middle of that attack. A nice fast release. Gets a nice pumpiness to it. You can slow it a little bit if you want. Just to get the end of that sustain. Nice output. Now, is this working in our favor? How do we find out? Right? Let's come over and let's disengage the inserts and see if that's helping us or not, yeah? Yeah, absolutely. And that's really easy to do inside the Waves console. So like a lot of these plugins have side chains that you can build into them. So like between kick and bass, or even if you want to do a vocal that ducks the rest of the mix, one of the things that I have set up is like there is a side chain that it will basically pull down the whole band mix when the vocal goes up. Exactly. How nice is that, right? Without it, bring it in. It's just like body, right? And now we can also just listen to this in its context by itself, right? Do we want to do any EQing on that? You know, parallel EQing is also something we can do, but it's pretty strong on its own. I think we're doing good, guys. Bass and kick drums married really nice, right? All right. How about we do pianos next? Just keep working down the line.
Ignore the guitar solo you hear in the background.
Can you put API 2500s on the keys?
Our meters are left and right, the steering, right?
Yep.
So we can
Pan them hard, yep.
pan them right. Actually, I think we need to bring down the.
Weird routing. I think that's some routing that I don't know.
C1s.
I'm not
Just put a C1 on it.
Just your
pretty
piano
good
left.
as it is. What do
Can
you
we hear
think?
just piano left real quick? So,
Just piano left?
yep. So we're just gonna put a little compression on this.
Oh, hold on. So, like, what, with, like, keys, what is your, like, I'm never really sure what to do with keys, because I know usually it's a clean line, first of all.
Yep.
And, it's like, what tones would you be looking to get out of it, or, like, would you modify it at all?
Well, it really depends. So for me, keys is something that it's like it has to fit in the context of the mix. So it's really interesting of like you have keys and guitar, which are pretty much in the same frequency ranges when you really think about it. Like their voicings, I mean, of course a piano is 88, so it's all these octaves, right? But really, where most of it's happening is in that mid-range, the same place that we also speak and sing. So sometimes with the keys, it's like I might try to nuance the highs a little bit more to give them definition, and I spread it wide. The wide panning helps it have definition up top, and then the guitars can kind of fit into that. For me, if you listen to the way he's playing right now, there's just a lot of punchiness, and I just want to take some of that attack down, just so that's like a smoother level for the listener. I feel like if you take that compressor out, it just feels too chunky, you know?
Yeah, you want it to kind of glide.
Correct, exactly. And so I don't want to squash it so much as like, what Eli did there, if you look, is like, it was just it's a soft compressor. We're doing maybe, what, 2 dB, 3 dB of reduction? But
Just slows it out.
yeah, but it smooths out all those like super attacky transients. And that gives me more room for other dynamics to work into it. So that's just, again, it's just cheating. It's just cheating, you know? If you can keep those dynamics in a range where they're more workable, then you have better control.
Otherwise, I don't feel like there's anything they can do with it. It sounds pretty good.
Yep. I mean, if anything, I feel like they could probably use a little bit more lows. Well, are we listening just to left?
Is
Just left.
Let's unsolo and listen to the stereo mix of it.
Oh, you want everything?
It's nice. Oh, just the keys. That's fine. Sounds pleasant, right? What we might go back to is put a little spill of reverb on it, just a tiny bit, to give it some spatial. But for now, it's great. Let's move on to the organ. Can you find a spot where he's playing organ?
Just a second. Oh, Giraffe Boy, where do you play the organ?
You guys enjoying this? You learning?
Yeah, yeah, it's fun.
Cool.
It's really cool.
How do we have this much organ in our show, and I can't find any? There we go. You want that? You want some compressors on that too?
Yep, let's do the same thing.
I like that. That's cool. Very
Can I get
electrifying.
just the left of that one for a second?
Yeah, just the left for that 1 second, just so we can get up.
Very
Raise the threshold a little bit.
Maybe put some makeup gain on that.
Yeah.
Quiet.
Yeah, go +3.
+4 right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This channel's just quiet here. That's without any compressor. The ceiling's not touching.
Interesting. That's just because his organ sounds like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we could probably.
Do you want to give it more gain before I start screwing with it?
Yeah, go ahead and gain up a little bit. Yeah, those channels look much lower, so just go to the line levels and go ahead and get a little bit more input on your console for both of those.
Big more?
What about electrifying that sound?
Only thing is your ratios aren't matching.
My thresholds aren't matching.
Or sorry, your thresholds aren't matching.
Yeah, but they're both bypassed. They just haven't dialed through.
Okay, that's fine. Let's listen to both of them, left and right.
I feel like it's done.
This solo button.
I love that.
So the other thing is that, you know, typically on an organ you would have a left-right low. This is just a DI. We don't have a low. When I'm mixing this performance, I think I showed you guys I emulate a low. I have another copy of it and I make a subharmonic synthesizer. What you could do in this case is just basically boost a little bit of the lows. You know, if you really wanted to get dirty with it, you could make it mult into another channel and then try to emulate a low using different things. But that's the only thing I feel like's missing is there's just not a lot of low body. So maybe I would on the EQ trip find something in the low 100 range and just see if you can bring a little more presence out of that.
Oh yeah, one thing I remember you doing yesterday, when someone was doing a solo, you were actually moving the, is that for the organ?
Yeah, I do that for the organ, I do that for the guitars. Yep. Nice. Move on to guitars. You guys ready?
Can we like see how it goes with conjunction with the piano?
Oh yeah, sure.
So see that it actually blends together.
I don't think he ever plays piano and keyboards at the same time.
Oh, I thought there was two people playing.
No.
No, it's one guy who plays piano and organ.
Okay.
Very rarely does he play both at the same time. He might be actually here, but a couple spots, that's it.
If he is, it's barely at all.
Solo, like this.
Yep. Yeah. You guys are doing great. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's a live show, so once we get the rough in, we're gonna be mixing as we go. So it's like, you can't always just depend on the compressors. A lot of it's just the finger movement, knowing the band, knowing where they're going, and having fun with it, you know? Let's get some guitars dialed, huh?
We can choose Rick.
You don't,
Buddy's first, actually.
Is he first?
do you
Okay,
hard
let me-
pan your guitars or you kind of keep them rolled
I
tighter?
do hard pan them because I'm using two different cabinets, and I find that with the 3-to-1 rule, panning them creates enough space that it doesn't have the phase cancellations that if they were not panned that way. It is a drastic move, but for me it works because it's the same image, slightly different because of the cabinets, and the panning prevents a lot of the electronic side of the cancellations that would happen. They're not interacting with each other. So if I pan it all the way to the left and all the way to the right, when those sources combine, they're combining acoustically, not electrically.
Oh, real quick. Check the phase.
Oh, we did. No? Oh, maybe it is.
Is this the gate on the snare?
Phase.
Oh, phase.
Oh, we do
I
have
think
a
I
gate
like-
on the snare still.
We can, yeah, you can leave that for now. If you want to pull it later, we can.
I think I like it without the phase change. With the, you can hear kind of the.
Yeah.
When the phase is canceled.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a right or wrong. It's a preference,
Yeah.
right? You know?
Yeah, you're right.
Cool.
Just wanted to check.
To me, it sounds a little bit thin.
Yep.
Yeah, a little bit.
How would you treat that to get some body in it?
EQ,
EQ?
Some low to it.
Oh,
low mid.
Eli, just, 2 or 3 dB reduction with a nice comp. I don't know.
You know.
Yeah. And again, I think that there's a lot to be said for mixing in a hybrid style, using things that the SSLs or the Neves are really good at, and then going, cool, well, I want a little bit more surgical with this, or I want this type of plugin. We don't have to work in just one realm or the other. Like this purism that only analog or only digital, like there are great digital tools, there are great analog tools. We can use both. Maybe a little too much, Eli?
Yeah, I'm pulling back. Sorry, this mouse wheel only works sometimes.
Spin it way the fuck out.
What? No, I think that's just the way
that
that
you guys were doing.
Also, just because of they're 2 mics close to each other, swap the polarity on one of those and make sure you're not getting weirdness. Which one's best? Both polarity, both reversed, one reversed?
It's hard to tell.
Yeah, they like if we were less of it when I was over here,
Yep.
it just got cut.
If we're trying to make it less than.
That's quite nice there where we're at. What'd you do right there?
It's out.
That's out. Works better though, doesn't it?
And this is tighter.
Yep.
Put it in.
I think I like the other one better.
Try the other one.
That's in.
I kind of like it.
Yeah.
Just leave it out.
I think it's good. It's we'll come back to it. Let's look at Rick's guitar, the other guitar. Eli comps.
Same treatment.
Yep.
A little too full.
Actually, we put 1176 so you have attack, release time.
I feel like maybe the lows could be.
I was gonna say tiny bit low.
Yeah.
Down.
Put down, yeah, exactly. Just a little bit. Also, you don't want it to interfere with the bass, too.
Exactly, you got it.
That'll cause.
Exactly.
You want it to have its own place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all about context, right? As you're seeing, as we move forward, everything has to agree, right?
Have its own place.
Exactly.
I don't feel too bad smashing the fuck out of it this bad during the solo.
Yeah, because during the regular time it won't be
is
this way.
not gonna be this aggressive.
How fast is your release? Can you make it a little faster? That's nice. Yeah, copy and paste that to the other or just drag, yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. I think for context, the next thing we really need is Buddy's guitar, right? Or no, sorry, Buddy's vocal. Buddy's vocal.
Yep.
You want Buddy back in?
So let's mute up that, or let's just solo Buddy's vocal, and then I think that's our last big instrument that we really need. The other stuff's not important for now.
Yeah, we don't need rolling and Brady.
So we can unsolo the guitars,
Oh, that's
and then solo Buddy BG vocal. Yep. Sorry, Buddy Guy vocal, yeah. And let's find a spot where he's singing.
Definitely got a gate somewhere. A lot of leaks over here.
Yep, vocal mics.
Which vocal mic do you guys use?
We are using a Shure wireless with an SE capsule.
Is it 57, 58?
Well, it's an SE brand capsule, so it's actually a different capsule on the Shure wireless.
By the way you switch and walk, see by the way that you baby talk, I can know by the way that
So,
you treat your man.
We're gonna have
I
to
can
definitely do
love
some
you,
treatment on
baby,
this.
tell us all.
Um, Eli, why don't we start with, let's just get a good high pass filter on there, and
Tell by the way you switch and walk. See
so you
by
hear all
the
that
way
bass
that
bleed.
you,
We're just
baby,
gonna,
talk. I can know by the way that you treat your man.
all right, everybody listen, now bypass it,
You, baby, tell us all. Crush
put it in.
and love. Gotta help me again.
Hear how much of a difference that is?
Tell by the way
Huge.
you switch and
Honestly, I
walk.
might take that up a little bit higher.
See
Yep.
by the way that you, baby, talk. I can know by the way that you
Yeah,
treat your
right?
man.
I think that's it right
I can love
Cool,
you,
let's get a
baby,
compressor
tell
on
us
it.
all. Crushing love.
Do you want to get the
1176.
put the LA2?
Oh yeah, we can put the LA2, let's put the real one in it, yeah. Good idea.
Switch and walk. See by the way
going as
that
a director
you,
insert?
baby, talk. I can know by the way that you treat your man. I can love
You're
you.
doing
baby,
great, everyone.
tell us all.
You're doing great.
Crushing love.
I think it's multi-out. I think so, and then you put it into.
I will briefly stop the yelling while we patch this.
And then what is
That goes into.
what channel?
Direct multi-track out.
Wait a minute.
Goes into.
I have to patch it a different way. Hang on. I remember. Because it's not in the patch bay. I need this one.
This is a direct.
Yeah, direct. Yeah, we're taking a good direct.
Well, you can put it on the insert.
Yeah, we could
or
do that
the
too.
direct. It's just it's not in the producer's rack over there.
Yeah.
So it's over there stacked up with the other stuff. So that's exactly right.
You could do it.
Which channel?
Insert.
Oh, do you want to do insert?
It's up to you. I'm
It
cool
doesn't-
with whatever. Which one are we? We're trying to do the
28.
PG vocal.
vocals, right?
28.
28.
So 28.
Insertion send. One. Yeah.
Then insertion return. I'm pretty sure.
And then 2. 3 is out.
Thank you for everything.
Oh, we gotta turn
Yeah,
on.
it's a
Hopefully
pleasure.
you have another vent next to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep doing more. But yeah, send me everything you can. I really appreciate it. You know, credit
should
if
be
anything
yelling.
or however I can help you.
Every down
It's
here.
appreciated. Thank you so much.
I can know by the way
Whoa.
that you treat your man. I can love you, baby, tell us all. Crushing love.
So this is with it
Help
on.
me again.
That's with it on.
Tell by the way you
It's very squashy.
switch and walk.
A little too squashy.
See by the way that you, baby, talk. I can know by the way that you treat your man. I can love you, baby, tell us all. Crushing love. Gotta help me again. Tell by the way you switch and walk. See by the way that you, baby, talk. I can know by the way that you treat your man. I can love you,
Well,
baby, tell
question
us
is should we even compress it that much? You know?
Gotta help me again.
Does it feel like, I mean, pull it out for a
Tell
second and
by the
listen.
way you
I think it just needs
switch
some
and
light.
walk.
This with the
See
insert
by
off.
the way that you, baby, talk. I can know by the way that you treat your man.
Is that with it?
I can
That's with it
love
on.
you, baby.
That's
till
with it in?
the
It's with it in.
crushing
Pull it out?
love. Gotta help me again.
Is this on the is this just on his channel or on the parallel compression circuit?
Switch and walk.
Shouldn't we move it to the
See
parallel
by the way
compression
that
channel?
you, baby, talk. I can know by the way that
Is there
you
parallel
treat your
compression, yes?
man.
So what I'm saying is that right now what we've done is we've taken multiple instances of the same channel. If we squash the hell out of one and we don't on the other, that's parallel compression. So maybe rather than having this on his vocal, put it on the parallel compression. It doesn't matter. One will be PLC or not. And then just listen to the combination of them both. You'll get a little bit more of the attack and the dynamic on the non-compressed, but you're going to get a lot more of the fat in the body of the compressed. So try to listen to them both together and see what you get.
So we need to send something to another.
No, you see how you're coming up on the channel right next to it.
Oh.
You just gotta move the insert over.
So what I'm saying is compare the channels, one compressed and one not.
I
see,
can know by the way that
So
They're both doing the
treat
same
your
thing.
man.
So we're gonna leave it to
I
the.
love you, baby, till
All you have to do is put the fader up of one versus the other.
Compressed, that one's not. Just
Oh.
Yeah, A, B.
Right. And now we should hear. we
Make sure it's
shouldn't have to change
unmuted.
anything.
Solo. The way that you, baby, talk. I can know
Now swap your
by
faders.
the way that you treat your man. I can love you, baby, tell us a crushing love. Gotta help me again. Tell by the way you switch and walk. See by the way that you, baby, talk. I can know by the way that you treat your man. I can love you, baby, tell us a crushing love.
This is a great place in the song because he's really yelling in it, you know what I mean?
Tell by the way you
So let's pause it for just a second. So just in this process here, there's other ways to do parallel compression, okay? We could easily take that signal, send it to a routing matrix, and then return it on another channel. What we did in Pro Tools was just make an instance of the same track a second time, and we're just treating one with compression and one without. Just another way of cheating to get around the same, you know, you can send it, you can do it through buses, whatever, that's just how we're doing it. For me, the combination of both the compressed and the uncompressed gives a really nice dynamic for Buddy and for musicians that he can be very, very quiet, as you noticed in the show, and then he can be screaming loud. So having the balance between those two faders, especially when he's talking, sometimes I'll bring up the compressed more, and then when he's singing, I'll bring up more of the original. So it's just, that's just something that, again, it's like, these are flavors, you know, these are tastes. These are like, what songs do I feel like I need more compression on versus not? I'm not always attached to using the very compressed signal. I can use either. Does that make sense? See?
All right, I'm gonna leave that
Yeah,
alone.
Super dynamic. So now I think we have pretty much all of our major stuff, right?
Yeah, you want me to take it back to Jam Right?
Yeah, let's take it from the top and let's just see if we can, you know, throw up a mix real quick, huh?
What about the rolling?
We'll get that stuff. That's kind of ancillary stuff, but like I mean, for the it only gets used a couple times during the show. But the big core of it is the drums, the bass, the piano and organ, the guitars, the vocal, and we've gone through and done all that, right? We feel pretty good.
Do you want to make VCAs for maybe the keys and everything else?
That's a great idea.
Should probably put tape over here too.
Yep. Excellent work, guys. Excellent work. Everybody's crushing it today.
Oh, come on.
I know.
I don't even carry a black Sharpie anymore. Most days I wish I had a silver Sharpie actually. I only have 3 of those.
That's all I got left. I lost all my
Keys.
Sharpies.
That's like the 2 gigs a year
Guitar.
that I do hate too, so.
And then, and then this will be master.
Yeah, I suggest separating Rick and Buddy.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely do guitar buses for both Rick and Buddy because you're going to want to treat those completely independent from one another.
Could you send one on the left side, one on the right side?
I don't pan
don't
them
pan-
independent.
oh,
Like
okay.
You
I
only-
do pan a little bit more. Like typically Rick is a little bit more to the right and Buddy's a little bit more to the left, just in terms of separation. But that's not like hard panned.
The only thing is that's gonna fill up all of the VCAs.
We could
That's fine.
bus them at
Unless
that
you-
same hard group.
Well, okay. So what I'm saying is,
We're also basically out of channels because like the rest pretty much don't matter.
Okay.
Like Roland and Brittany are.
Yeah, I mean, I think put your VCAs on the things that you're going to use the most, which would be I would say you're doing a. What are your buses right now? What do you
so
have
I've
going?
got drums, bass, keys, guitar, Vox. You want another guitar, and then that would be 6, and then you have
Actually-
your 7th, which would be the master control all of them.
Mhm.
Well, what if we use one for effects?
Yeah, we should have one for effects as well.
Being that we only have a single fader for bass, I wouldn't waste the VCA.
Yeah, why? What's the point? Yeah.
Right.
We
If
could just put the bass and drums together as one, maybe.
Honestly, just don't even put the bass in.
Yeah,
VCA.
don't put it in a VCA because it's one instrument. There's nothing being grouped. Just
Yeah.
if you're changing your bass level, change it right at the.
right at the input
Yeah.
channel.
Use VCAs for things where you might screw up the ratio between something. Just trying to.
Yeah, like 2 kicks
Yeah.
or 2 snares.
Just trying
Once
to
you
use a bunch
get
of
that
fingers to
the
hold
level
it.
of the 2 kicks right between each other, you don't want that to change, but you may want to change it relative to the snare.
Right.
Exactly.
You know, or
Exactly.
relative to toms or something, but you don't want those 2 faders to change each other. How many VCAs are there? Just 8?
7.
7.
Hey.
It's a weird number.
Oh, because the 8th slot, it would have a fader, 8 buttons. Got it. Makes sense. Fill up the frame.
Could have swore you could make every channel a VCA on that console, but it's been a while.
I don't.
I think you can.
Maybe everyone can be a
Maybe you
group.
can.
Yeah, I think you can.
I think you can make on the Neve any channel can become a VCA master, but it's been a long time, so don't quote me on that. Especially since this is being live
Each
streamed.
channel can be a subgroup master.
Oh, that's right.
Right,
Any
right,
channel can be a subgroup master.
Right.
Routing matrix.
Use the routing
Channels.
exactly.
And then you go to that channel and you press the subgroup
Select.
button.
That's it.
And
Yeah.
then use it to
Which one?
thing
That's
that
right.
sees it.
Yeah, but they're still only the same VCAs. That's right. Yeah, it's a subgroup masters.
You know, right?
Maybe that's the way.
Well,
if we
no,
had
just
7
select.
VCAs, maybe you just make a bunch of subgroups
Exactly.
for all those
Yep.
instead.
And this
Yep.
one,
All of them.
and the organs.
All stuff.
But also it's about mixing.
And
it.
then,
Mm-hmm.
what do you got?
Yeah, I know.
You
We
get
wouldn't
8.
have this conversation.
You get
We
8.
wouldn't be
You
talking
get
about
8.
it so much anymore.
And sometimes it is learning to work inside the framework of what you have. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Get really good and creative
Mhm.
when you're left with a small toolbox.
I know what about my con. I got 10 faders.
Right.
Figure it out.
Figure it out.
Cool. We want to get some playback going and see if we can get a song mixed.
Coming at you.
Lord, I can make a little girl
Oh yeah, I think
Still
it's
on
muted.
solo.
Muted for the drum.
lead me by my hand.
Oh, I should add.
Vocal.
Solo vocal.
Then the world
Your vocal solo.
Oh.
Yep.
The one that doesn't light up.
I should add the drum comp to the drum.
Oh, in terms of
The drum VCA.
yep, I would think so. Unless you want independent balance different from it, you know what I mean? Like it might be nice to have that balance different. Yeah, I mean you can still sub it to the VCA and then move it. Yep.
So are you guys gonna do any automation?
No,
because really in this case we're talking about a live mix. You don't really do a lot of automation, and the other thing is that like, okay, if I had a pop act that was doing something played to time code every night, sure, maybe I might consider those moves. But really, Buddy's like a blues/jam artist. He's not going to play exactly the same BPM every night. It's going to be really hard to capture those moves. A lot of it is just being on the fly. That's what's fun about the job, though. You know, I'm playing with the band just as much as anybody else is. So as their dynamic changes, my mixing is changing. You think you guys probably noticed last night, I'm working all night. I'm not just standing there. So, yeah.
We listened to it with the speakers.
That's what I just did.
Oh, you just
Same near field.
oh, okay. I didn't realize that. I feel like the lag is kind of ducking under.
Yeah, you could work on that just by maybe compressing the overheads a little bit, which we could do right in Pro Tools even.
Yeah, or Pro Tools. Or we just throw on.
Yeah.
The overhead is so big.
Toms sound really good. Toms sound really good.
Rick Hall, y'all. Yeah.
Love that little thumb.
Now, if y'all don't like the blues, y'all at the wrong house.
So, how about a little reverb on those drums, huh?
Yeah.
You guys want to see if we can find a nice verb? Send maybe some of the snare, the tom to it, so that with a nice decay, it sounds like it blooms a little bit.
Do we not have the LA2 in at all?
Hmm?
Do we not have the LA2 in at all?
Oh, it's in. It's probably just not getting touched right now because he's barely talking.
Definitely turned on.
Is the insert not?
No, actually it's not.
Just wait till he starts screaming in this microphone. You'll probably see it move.
Wait, no, but the insert's
I'm gonna
actually
say
not,
something to you.
Is it not in?
Not activated.
Oh, did you?
I'm still trimming this, but I'm not sure.
Oh wait, was this for?
It should be in the PLC channel. Or did we move it?
It's actually backwards.
Oh, it's backwards. then.
Compressors on vocal. PLC does not have the compressor.
Okay.
So
Okay.
insert that. Don't insert that.
There you go. You got it.
Like a baby child. Nothing I can do to please this young woman.
This is a great example. You can see like he's barely in the pocket. Then he's going to yell, and you'll see the gain reduction.
That's not easy at my age.
Somebody's screaming in the audience.
I can't ask her where she going. She would tell me where she been.
Yeah, give a little bit.
She would start a conversation.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, give a little more.
That don't have no end.
Somewhere in there.
She's 19 years old.
Here we go. He's going to do the ways.
And don't you know she got
I always have a hard time
Maybe not.
figuring out the LA2.
There's another one coming up here.
The thing with the LA2A is you really don't have the attacker release times.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes with the vocal, that's why I go 1176, is I just want that extra level of control. And again, if you want to try that, we can patch in, you know, any of these other guys down here, or try another comp that's inside of Pro Tools.
I just always have a hard time dialing in the LA2.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, we should think about a reverb. After we get the reverbs done, we should also think about a master bus compressor, a left-right. I know we got that SSL on the rack. Maybe think about doing a little glue on the whole thing. Lexicon. Yeah, there you go.
It's up to you. That's a pretty good one right there. Lexicon's pretty good.
Yeah, let's power up the Lexicon and get a nice, like a nice hall verb.
Yeah.
And then do we have the plate?
Oh, I think the plate's hooked up. I think so.
We can do that too. Yeah, whatever you guys want. Like, you know, here's a great thing. You can experiment. What sounds good?
Yeah, I think by default the plate is hooked up to.
You want me to get funky in that? The one leg was in the east.
The plate is upstairs.
Yeah.
The other leg was in
I
the
think for the
west.
first aux.
Maybe we put them in the arrow. Play to put them in the right decade.
Unlike the MIDI piano or the MIDI.
No, gated verb would be in the right.
That's that arrow.
And then I think for that we want to make the reverb its own channel.
Yep. Yeah. Have a reverb return come up stereo on 2 spare channels. Make sure you pan them left and right.
Do you still want
Just
do we still want the master on 7 here?
That's fine. I mean, you can return to any spare channel on the, you know.
You want to get funky in that?
Yeah, sure. Just gotta make sure I know which send that we're gonna, we'll do aux to. Let me see, actually.
Great.
Don't get an attitude.
So aux out of the aux into the input of the reverb, and then the stereo reverb return will come to 2 channels.
Right.
39 and 40.
Yeah.
Sure, great. And then pan those hard left and right.
Let me see.
Don't get an attitude and pack your bags.
It's been a while since
The
I've
5
used
little
this.
children you're leaving behind. You gonna pay some alimony or do some time.
Just need one of these in my living room.
Guess what,
Oh,
man?
wait.
But I forgot to say, nice one on the short faders
It's
earlier.
cheaper
Thank
than
you. I was losing my mind trying to remember what it was that was missing.
cheaper than keep up. You know why?
Somewhere down just in this part.
You just pay for $2.
Oh wait, Rev.
Priorities.
Is it under
Now
Rev?
you got to pay
I don't
$50,000.
think
First things first.
technically use
to
it.
leave money.
Not if you're returning on channels.
You see another girl out there, you just might want to make a
Did
switch.
you pick a channel that we're going to return on first?
Yeah, 39 and
She ain't
40.
gonna want you 'cause you ain't gonna have shit. It's cheaper to
So if
keep
it's returning to a channel, it has to be one of
All right,
these,
I'm gonna leave
right?
that alone. I done
Dandelion in. Dandelion in here. You found your sim chip. Remember, you got an 8 cent, so you didn't need a group color coding lines where you see anything is labeled with the same color. Green or blue.
Oh, I know. Awesome.
That's whatever
Aux is good. The first aux is hooked up to the plate, so we can keep that. Oh wait. And then let's see, we're gonna go over to Lexicon.
I don't want you to
Oh
be
yeah,
nice
we'll go to
to
96.
me. I don't want you, girl, no. Don't work all day. I don't
What do you
want
mean?
you when I'm sad and blue.
Not yet. I mean, the thing is like in terms of stability, I just want to run the 48 for a while until we feel like.
Better than that now.
The other thing is just pure DSP that I'm using for the plugins just going to be, you know, significantly more at 96. And I,
Y'all gonna help me.
no,
My
exactly.
late friend Sonny Boy Williams said, I can't do this thing by myself. Y'all gotta help me. I'm gonna try
Which
that
lexicon
again
is
now.
this? What is it?
I don't want you to make my
So,
bed.
output of aux 2, you got it to the
I don't want
reverb.
you, God,
Looks like it's
no, don't worry about it.
Oh, 480.
I don't want you 'cause I'm
Talking about that thing.
sad and blue.
Let's see.
There it is, 480L1.
and then make sure your auxes are sending from where you want to send from. Yep. So what we're gonna have to do is send some from the snare, from the toms, to aux 2, right? Correct, exactly. You can send snare, that's probably the most consistent. Yep, you're gonna have to return you'll hear it come back.
Like, you need to make it stereo? Stereo sound?
You can make it a stereo send, you can also just make it a mono send stereo return. It's a mono instrument.
That's what
There you go. Yeah, I've done it.
So that's
3940.
Yes.
That's what I see.
Is this a correct on? On, up?
yeah.
Where's that?
Like you know,
So it's, if you do this, it's not, and,
Right.
so this is good right now?
Yes. Keep taking sides.
Where's Sammy?
There we go.
All right, so how about you solo just your snare and your returns, and then see if what dial of reverb that sounds good on the snare. Hit your reverb returns as well. Okay, so a lot of pre-delay. Sounds like it off the back wall.
PDL.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Move those sliders. Make some changes. Listen to how it sounds.
Yep. Just wait for it to come back. Oh, thank you.
Will you put him to a space in the song where he's playing? Sorry.
Thank you. I think there's a break between songs.
Yeah, we're just gonna break between songs. We can find you somewhere the drummer does drummer things.
Sure. Thank you.
There you go. Yeah, get it nice and bright. And you can EQ that return too. And send your toms there as well when you get past the point. First get your snare dialed, you know, of like the type of reverb you want, and then send your toms there and they'll bloom really nicely.
Oh yeah. We'll be like in a whole other place.
I learned
that
that
one the
one
hard way.
Like yeah,
So,
just change.
actually, let me just. Hold on. There's a funny button. I did that on
Analog board. I just grabbed it.
There's one that clears. Is there a reset?
Oh wait, I think I know what you're talking about.
unsolo it. Try to brighten the reverb. Try to brighten the reverb. It sounds a little bit too much chambery. Go to the channel strip on the returns, pull out some 200, 250. Yeah, pull it out a little bit. You'll feel the... There you go. And then give a little boost on the highs because it's going to give you that dimensionality. There you go. There you go. And now let's send the toms there. Yeah, save your ears. Go to your toms, send the tom auxes to that same reverb bus.
Oh,
I think it was aux 2, right?
yeah.
So go to tom 1, 2, so it's R1, 2, 3, 4. So rack 1, rack 2, rack 3, rack 4 should all go to the aux 2.
Oh, yeah. All
And Eli, can you just cue up a tom roll? Like, yeah, that's fine. Maybe we can just mute the subgroups that aren't drums, and so we can listen into the just the toms and the reverb. Yeah, give me just a little more control room. I think it's a blue knob.
You said it's not a pan until you press the button on top, right?
Yep. Which one?
What you were adjusting, it's not a pan until.
So the thing is, it's only a pan if you make it stereo.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. So I could just use it.
Actually, these need to be pans. Now that I think about it. The matrix. RFID delete.
Cool. We're getting there. All right, you mind if I step in real quick? Let's. Here's what we'll do. We'll just unsolo everything. Yep.
reverb. Bring the reverb in. How about that? Spatial, right? All right, let's go and listen to the whole song with the reverb now.
Also, I feel like we're gonna have some reverb for guitars.
Totally, yep. And for that, you might want to use a different reverb so that you're not having differentiation levels between your reverb on the guitar and your reverb on the drums. Typically, I'll dedicate a drum reverb. And I'll only send drums to that. And then I'll dedicate a vocal reverb. And then if there's reverbs that are auxiliary for instruments, then I'll do it that way.
Right. So I'm thinking maybe we need to do the spring upstairs.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll try that. We have a figure it out. Is there a way we can get all the probably group all the guitars together? I'll just keep it as just one.
So what are you trying to do? I'm sorry.
I was thinking we take all the guitars and send it to the
It might be too much just because if you're going to do that, so what you could do is if you say you wanted to have a reverb that's dedicated for guitars, right? How many aux sends do we have? So right now we have one aux send that's dedicated to a drum reverb. You probably have another aux send that's dedicated for a vocal reverb, and then maybe another that's like your guitar reverb. So what I would say is like, you know, aux 1 or aux 2. We have aux 2 right now as our drum verb. So then let's make aux 3 if you want to send the guitars through that and see what that sounds.
That way
Yeah.
you can send it up to the place.
Oh, because it goes upstairs to the plate. All right, that's fine. Yeah, you can do that, and then return it to another set of spare channels, and then mix that in and see how that sounds. And then maybe we can also come up with a vocal that we send buddies to another reverb as well. Okay.
I believe it's already normal. Right, I think it's already normal. Yeah. Okay, wait, let's yeah, honestly, I think it's supposed to be just normal. So we just. Oh.
Might be a That's what I would do as well. That doesn't mean it is. And
I just wish we had like someone here.
It also might just be like a stereo.
I don't know. Either of those are
Hey, question. You know, yeah, I saw that somewhere. Yeah.
The question is when. And
Pat, that's a what? What? That's what.
but did you see that effect? Did you see anything?
You just call it plate. Would it just be called plate?
I would think it would be. But, so there
Is there
is
any chance it just comes
reverb
back up?
return.
Oh, That definitely might be.
Well, those are
That
constant.
might be console load read inputs.
If it's normal, I don't know. It might be normal. Are you sending something to the plate? You know, you're never gonna hear return unless you send something. Oh,
I know it's like that. Oh, so right above.
We'll send up.
yeah. Well, back when we used to take this classes, reshape the time code.
Reverb one on?
But since
Yeah, I think we've turned that on.
I can tell by the way you
Ooh, up.
I can know by the way that you I can love you, baby. I say Lord, I can tell by the way you
Q reverb return. Reverb one.
The returns also. Not this. That's the separate. That's the separate section. This is labeled reverb one return.
Some of the students that bird students in here now. Maybe it was not meant to be.
remember, if you were really on the clock, at this point I would have ditched the whole idea.
Yeah.
On and used the eventizers.
I wouldn't be surprised if one of those returns up there.
I know. We have. I can sense what it is.
Return. Turn on the return. And it's C the aux 1.
Yeah.
On that side, so this would be the master. So let's crank the master maybe. Hold on. That's 1. And then send something down bus 1. Not aux 1. Not that. That just be the return. So yeah, put this down. Start about 12 o'clock. We got something on aux 1.
Should we send?
Yeah. Where's the vocal channel?
See by the way that you, baby, talk. I can know by the way that you treat your man. I can love you, baby, tell us all. Crying, saying, Lord, oh, Lord. I can tell by the way you.
Move on.
Yeah, maybe they changed it too. Maybe they unpatched it.
See
I doubt
by
that.
the way that you, baby, talk. I can know by the way that you treat your man. I can love you, baby. Tell us all. I'm saying, Lord, oh, Lord. I can tell by the way you switch and walk. See by the way that you, baby, talk. I can know by the way that you treat your man. I can love you, baby. Tell us all. I'm saying, Lord, oh, Lord. I can tell by the way you switch and walk. talk. I can know by the way that you treat your man. I can love you, baby. Tell us all. Crying, saying, Lord, oh, Lord. I can tell by the way you switch and walk. See by the way that you, baby, talk. I can know by the way that you treat your man. I can love you, baby. Tell us all. Crying, saying, Lord, oh, Lord. I can tell by the way you switch and walk. See by the way that you, baby, talk. I can know by the way that you treat your man. I can love you, baby. Tell us all. Crying, saying, Lord, oh, Lord. I can tell by the way you switch and walk. See by the way that you, baby, talk. I can know that you treat your man. I can love you, baby. Tell us all. Crying, saying, Lord, oh, Lord. I can tell by the way you switch and walk. See by the way that you, baby, talk. I can know by the way that you treat your man. I can love you, baby.
There you go.
Crying, saying, Lord, oh, Lord. I can tell by the
Give
way
me just a little more reverb.
switch and walk.
Right there.
See by the way that you, baby, talk. I can know by the way that
Alright, let's
you
kill the loop.
treat your man. I can love you, baby. Tell us all. Crying, saying, Lord, Lord, oh, Lord, no.
Alright, cool. Just a little bit less of the reverb.
I like that, man.
Alright. Are we still soloed?
Tell by the way you switch and walk. See by the way that you baby talk. I can know by the way that you treat your man. I can love you, baby. Tell us all.
Check your face.
Say, Lord, gotta help me again.
Check the face of your parallel compression.
Yeah, I know. I think it'll be fine.
I like that. Tell by the way you switch and walk. See by the way that you, baby, talk.
What do you guys think so far? What have you learned? What's been insightful today? So far. Anything?
kind of figuring out the relationship between like all the sounds, how to blend them together, and how
What were some of the challenges today for you in terms of like just getting the mix together?
signal. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I definitely remember some recordings and stuff like that. I just need a little help with the sending with the small faders. I mean, yeah, it's always hard to remember all the routing for constant. But I mean,
So
at the end of the day, they're all very similar.
yeah.
So
Another thing, I don't know if you guys noticed, but you all work very well together. Okay, so it's like the little remembering of, oh yeah, we got to push up the secondary fader. And so that's one of the straight things. Like Eli and I lean into each other a lot. We both have incredible technical knowledge, but sometimes all of a sudden, like, why is this thing doing this? And he'll be like, obviously, or I'll do the same thing, because sometimes when you're dealing with technical issues, you just can't figure out why is this signal off getting. So like the mixing side of it, yeah, I mean there's challenges, but oftentimes where you're really getting held up, where we invested a lot of time today, but let's get sitting where it needs to go and get it returned. That's what's fantastic about it. So especially when you're dealing with digital consoles, out in the field, knowing how to get things quickly routed to where you want and back, and you can do that at home with Pro Tools. I'm learning these desks now with the Pro Tools rig and console. Especially as you're starting to connect, you're talking about working with MSI, if you have other companies, don't be afraid to say, hey, can I come on my day off with some Pro Tools tracks and just play with this thing? Because then the more you know how to use those consoles and the more diversity of consoles you know how to use, the more versatile you are. And the more you feel confident to go, yeah, sure, I can work on that Digico, I can work on that Yamaha. I haven't worked on a Neve in a long time, but yeah, there's some things I had to remember, but it's an inline console. Signal flow is there, okay? So it's like, with all this stuff, we can't forget that, like, for so long it was like studio was this side and live was this side. Now they're getting closer and closer together. And the fundamentals are the same. Gain structure is the same. Important things in terms of using high pass filters are the same. You saw today how much bleed through was happening on our mixes from other channels. Like, yeah, in the studio we can put up an isolation booth, or we can put up some padding or some panels. Can't really do that in a live environment. There's a lot of bleed through. So we use electronic tools, we use what we can, but as you found out, it's not exactly easy to gate a snare.
you can't get rid of all the bleed. It's
Exactly.
never going to happen.
Exactly.
And I mean, it's also a question of how much does it really matter?
Yep.
Because it's all going to be in the mix one
Correct.
way or another.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's just you just need to make sure that it's not too much in the channel it's not supposed to be. It shouldn't be drowning anything out.
Exactly. I think what it comes down to for me is that the closer I can get to isolation, the better control I have.
Yeah.
So when I push up my snare fader, I'm not pushing up snare and 9 other things. I'm pushing up snare. Now, of course, there's going to be some bleed through. The toms, I mean, the reason my toms sound... Oh,
Keep talking.
my apologies.
Don't mind me.
The reason my toms sound as good as they do is really because I take the time to gate them very tightly, and I compress them very well so that I can get them very high in the mix. They're used for an instant, you know what I mean? It's so funny because it's like I have all these mics that in the greater course of the show get used for less than a minute. Dum 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 dum. You know what I mean? It's open. That channel's open for less than a millisecond. Just dum, there, it's open. But how much does it matter that I can have those levels up high enough without interference? It matters a lot. Because when I want them to ring through, I want them to be powerful and strong. So setting those gates really nice is important. Less important on other things, A bass DI is great because it's a DI. Keys are great, they're DIs. You'll notice this too if you're ever on stage where you're miking a Leslie organ. Man, you're going to hear a lot of other stuff in there, So sometimes Leslies are really nice, and sometimes it's nice just to have a direct line.
Yeah, direct line, yeah.
And if you're going to have a Leslie cabinet on stage, you better have some sort of baffle or some kind of moving blankets to put on top of it to keep other junk out of it.
I would probably just go the direct line.
Exactly.
a lot of artists said if you're touring with the B3, you're probably on a level big enough that we can set it somewhere that it's not going to pick up a lot of bleed. But reality still is that a direct line is not going to have anything other than the source,
Right.
and that's great. One other thing that I want to discuss too in terms of live that, you know, it's an issue in the studio, but it can become a major issue in the live environment is power and grounding. If you don't have good power and you don't have good grounding, you're going to have noise in everything.
Yeah.
And like it can be to the level of especially like we've had situations where maybe the source fours weren't grounded right, and then you turn the dimming circuit on, and then suddenly everything's going. You can hear the transformers.
Noise is not the worst problem that can happen with power.
No, no.
Like if your
Your
PA
circuit
is all
explodes.
grounded and your microphones and everything is all grounded, but suddenly your guitar player's amp is not.
They can.
Now the grounding circuit is from your mouth to the microphone.
And they can get hit.
Yes, I've heard of that
Yes.
happening
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've had it happen before.
I've
It
had
hurts.
It happen before
It
too.
hurts really fucking.
It hurts really
And
bad.
From
Yeah,
there,
like-
after it happens,
Yeah, I mean,
you'll
you
make
know.
sure there's ground on every amp from there.
It happened to me in Europe, which is 220. So I got 220 from my lips to the top of a 58. Man, that my lips were numb for like 4 days.
Really?
Oh, it hurt. It really, really hurt.
220 hurts bad.
So what had happened is there was a Hammond B3 that just wasn't grounded properly, and there's a brass switch that's on the it's the speed of the Leslie. That's like basically you have a slow speed, and that brass switch had enough electrical current coming through it that when I went to the mic, it zapped me. And I just happened to throw the switch while I was testing the lower organ at the same time that it completed the circuit. As soon as I touched that brass circuit, bang! Yeah, it hurt. It hurt. Yep.
One time I actually, I don't know if I got electrocuted by this, but I think I did. I had a Beta 58 plugged into like it's like a little vocal box that actually like, it's like a TC Helicon 2, I don't know if you've heard of
Yep.
one. Yeah, and then I had it hooked up to my Allen Heath mixer, but I didn't realize that the phantom power was on. And I felt like when I touched the top of the mic,
You got a
grill,
little grill, yeah,
like
yeah.
a little bit of like some weird,
Little zap.
yeah, some sort of electricity vibe.
I mean, it's there are a lot of things happening, you know. There's also just in terms of when you're working outdoors, that's why when we see lightning, we shut down. Obviously for the safety of everybody, but you know, once kind of violated by lightning, most things don't come back.
Yeah.
Um,
You don't want your gear to have a sad time.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
And I've had terrible rain gigs. Like just the rain alone is nightmare. Like we've
Rain
had
alone will kill your shit. The lightning will blow it up in a way that it's not coming back from
Yeah.
ever.
Anyways, I hope these days have been really helpful for you guys. I
Yeah.
hope it's been a good hands-on experience. You know, I mean, what I'm really trying to do is bridge the gap of saying like the skills that we learned in the studio can now be overdeveloped in the live, whereas before it was like I had all these skills but not the equipment that could match it.
And actually,
You know.
when I was in college, I went to University of the Arts in Philadelphia. They're no longer, they actually closed down permanent. But I actually would do people's mixes. I would actually do their video, and then I would go and ask for the stems
Yep.
from the board,
Yep.
and I would kind of reimagine the whole thing.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know, put it on Logic Pro. Because
Absolutely.
I love Logic.
Yep.
And I would just basically go from each track and just make it sound like a whole new space. Like
Absolutely.
You know?
And this is the thing too, is like Logic's what, $200?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can get multi-tracks offline. Like the best way to become a better mix engineer is just to mix stuff. You know, like put in some in-ears or get a pair of cheap studio monitors and just download some tracks into Logic or Pro Tools and start mixing some things.
Yes.
You know,
Excellent library of multi-tracks.
yeah, there's so much stuff that's available. Telefunken has stuff available for free. You can do searches for free. There's audio groups on Facebook where this stuff's available.
Cambridge,
And
MT.
again, it's like I
Can you
Cambridge
send me
quite a bit.
Tell me some of these links.
The Cambridge ones are the ones I used a ton of.
Yeah.
Cambridge. Let me see. Where do I find that? What's it called?
Just
Cambridge
Google like Cambridge multi-tracks.
multi-tracks.
And if this is something that you guys are enjoying and want to do more of, I'm happy to bring some of the stuff that I'm recording in the studio at Abbey Road here, and we can get into more developed studio mixing techniques.
Yeah.
there's a lot that I do mixing in the sonic landscape that's more than just mixing, but also like producing side of things and thinking about ways to emphasize songs or ways to transition songs, even to the degree of like thinking about album compilation of, well, this song ends on a G, what should the next song start on so the flow is well. Those are things to think about that are kind of outside of the live environment, but like if you guys like these master classes and you engage every time I'm around, I'm happy to come back and do more. The biggest thing is for this to work, we need participants. So, you know, as long as you guys come and enjoy it and you feel like you get something out of it and it's worth your time, then I'll keep doing it.
Yeah.
There would be more people here.
Yeah, well, you know,
Is this it?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
cool.
Do you know if Ethan or Daniel were here for yesterday?
No, I don't think so. It was, I'm sorry, I'm bad with everybody's names. I'm sorry.
I am too.
So I got overwhelmed with like, a lot of people came out yesterday though. It was great. And they were very helpful and they got a lot of good experience on stage. And so I wish you could have made it, but you know, now I know. But in the future, just text me directly. Is there anything else you guys want to go over before we wrap it up? I feel like we're kind of.
Are there any other plugins besides that
Just the Telefunken stuff for multi-tracks.
Telefunken?
Yeah.
Oh, telephone. Yes.
Something I can't believe I didn't bring up before now, dealing with feedback at your live events.
Absolutely.
The Waves guy was here a couple years ago, right? Rep for the company, and I asked him, and he told me about X Feedback as a plugin.
Yep.
Just curious if you've had any experience.
I think that.
We tried it in January.
Yeah, I mean, the reality of those plugins is what they are is it's essentially using a logarithm and, or sorry, an algorithm and an RTA to determine where the feedback issues are. I feel like, in my experience, they're a little too harsh. They're a little too overly excessive. They're going to find something that is potentially a feedback issue and squash it. And yeah, it'll get rid of the problem, but it's also like taking the dent out of your car with a sledgehammer.
Do you feel the same way about the AFS units? The
All of
DBX?
them. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've tried a lot of them, and where I found success with them only really was not in a musical environment, but I was doing some shows for yoga teachers, and as they were walking around with a face mic, that was wonderful. Because as the dynamic is changing, then they're reacting. The problem is music is way too dynamic for those things to keep up. And the differentiation between what happens when you EQ at sound check and what happens after the room fills up is so different. For me, there is nothing better than just putting the mic that you're using in front of the monitors and going through the simple stages of like, let's gain it up, okay? What are the first frequencies that I notice that are going to be the most lobing in the low end, that are going to be the 100, 200 stuff that sounds ominous, and then what's going to be the sharp feedback up top. And it's using an RTA, a real-time analyzer, to find what is the most active frequencies, and using your ears and going ho, ho, hey, hey, yeah, yeah, talking to the mic. Oh, when I say ho, that low is super bottomy, then I have to change that, you know? If I say hey and the A is super horny, like that, like the reason we use, people forget this, but the reason we use check 1, 2 is those words, check, 1, and 2 give you all the syllables you need to put into a microphone. 1, 1. 1 gives you the low. Cha, cha, check. 2, ta.
I actually did not know that. Wow.
Check, 1, 2. It's all you need. That's why we use it. So,
1, 2.
exactly. So those phrases into a microphone, knowing the sound of your own resonant cavity, your own voice, and then how the monitors sound, you're going to bring it up and you're going to go, oh, you know, maybe this sounds like something up at 4K or 3K, and you might move a filter around and find where that problem is. The thing is you don't want to be so heavy-handed with it that you make things sound dull. Okay, it's easy to say, well, I have a problem at 2K, and just go, cool, 2K. Yeah, but then you didn't pull 2K. You pulled 2K, you pulled 1.5, you pulled 1, you also pulled 2.5. You know, like, if you actually look at what happens on a graphic EQ when you pull one, it's not just a parametric, it's a belt, okay? And it's affecting all those, and it's affecting phase relationships and everything else. So I try to be really surgical with that stuff as much as I can. And then now with the waves in the F6, I can't say enough. It's just like having dynamic EQ of like, I know 2K might be a problematic frequency, so I'm going to put a lower threshold on it, and I'm going to put a high reduction, and then if it does take off, whatever it takes off, the counteraction is going to happen inside the plugin. And that helps you enough to get over to your EQ and actually finish it, but it's a fast take care of the problem.
Back to your feedback suppression question.
Yep.
Those work a lot more effectively musically.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't affect the whole mix.
Exactly.
You go after it and just get one input that's giving you those issues that are taking off from time to time.
So are you using only in-ears, or are you using monitors, or both?
So in the situation, Buddy does not use in-ears and will not, so he's on monitors.
Yep.
The guitar player stage left is also using monitors. He won't wear in-ears. And then everybody else in the band is on either ears or headphones. Pookie, our drummer, sometimes wears headphones. Sometimes when he wears ears, it's his preference, you know, depending upon what the environment feels like, comfort. Or I think sometimes it's just because the headphones make his ears sweat. He would rather have his earbuds. Dan and myself and Eli all have JH Audio in-ears, so we got molded. I really recommend that if you're going to take in-ears seriously, that you get a molded set. The differentiation between like a pair of Shure 215s or a Campfire Audio or any of those things in a molded ear is like, it's two completely different worlds. It's just two completely different worlds.
What was the name of the one that you
JH Audio. It's an investment.
expensive?
Yeah, I mean
Any in-ears are an investment.
you're talking entry level of, you know, 1,200. You know what I mean?
But don't spend less because it's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
They're
Yeah.
not comparable to anything anybody else
But the
does.
thing is I also feel like my JHs are comfortable enough that I can. This is how much I love the Wave stuff too. But like there's an emulator plugin that takes the output of the studio you're in and runs it through an Abbey Road simulator room, and I can put my JH audios in and use a simulator and go, I want to be in Abbey Road Studio 3, and pop myself in there, and then use the profile of the JH audio, and it'll closely match. And then even uses the camera on my laptop, so if I turn my head, it'll turn with it. Like having in-ears and being like, I can rough in mixes on an airplane.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that I'm going to do a mix on it, but if I want to set, I don't know, my gates, I can do that on the airplane in Logic with my in-ears in.
Yeah.
That's a good use of time. So for me, it's a good investment to have that. The other thing about in-ears that are molded is like, it just keeps so much more noise out on deck and really allows you to kind of get nuances inside that you can't. Like, when I started mixing in-ears, I was just using a pair of Shure 425s. And they are mind-bogglingly better than a pair of like your iPhone earbuds.
Oh yeah.
But then like the next step is to get the actual molded in-ears. And I think really for me, there's two major companies that are in the game for that. That's JH and UE. Anybody else is kind of wishing that they could do it. Sensophonics, I don't know. I don't
No,
like it. They make
Sensophonics is
a bunch of
trash.
crap. It's trash. I bought them. I didn't like them.
Do you notice a difference when you're on the airplane? Like, does the pressure?
Oh yeah,
change the
absolutely.
process?
Huge difference.
You
Again,
don't-
that's why I would set gates and stuff. I wouldn't actually mix it. You know what I mean? Like,
Don't wear molded in-ears while the plane is climbing.
yeah, that would not be a
It
good
feels
idea.
really, really
Yeah, that's a
bad.
bad idea. That's a bad idea.
It
Pressure
hurts.
differential. But once you're up at 10,000 feet, if you want to throw them in, it's quite nice.
So JH and UP.
Yeah,
Hurts.
yeah, it's painful. I did it once.
Yeah, me too.
Found out the hard way.
While you're taking off.
Oh man, when I took them out, it was like, ah!
So you said JH is
JH Audio.
JH.
I really love them. I mean, like, you know, you can go crazy with it and spend like $3,000 or more on a pair of in-ears if you want the 17 driver version or whatever they have.
Don't.
But really, like, the base level entry JH11s or JH8s sound amazing, and both in the bass level and the frequency responses up top. They have very good continuity. I would say for me, personally, if I had budget and the differentiation of investing in a pair of in-ears or studio monitors, I would get in-ears. Yeah, because, you know, you can use them in the live environment, you can use them in the studio environment, you can listen to music with them.
casually too.
Exactly.
A pair of headphones that are really, really awesome.
Yeah,
I like.
and they're molded to your ears, you know.
Right.
They have different impedance for those.
Yep, absolutely.
Which, what was the other brand? It was like GU.
UE, Ultimate Ears.
I have some nice Bose like headphones. They're not. I don't know what they're like.
The problem with the Bose stuff is that it is
it has a very specific EQ profile that is heavy to the bottom end. Same thing with like the Beats by Dre and all that stuff. It's like they're specifically meant to be more of a listening device than a monitoring device.
Yeah.
When you're talking about in-ears, you're hoping that, again, like how we talk about peak noise being all octaves at the same energy, you want that same kind of curve so that you know that you have a palpability of like, this is my baseline. If you're going to wear those Bose, they might sound great in those Bose, or they might sound great in your Boots by Dre, but then if you put on a pair of Sonys or something else that everybody else, it might sound like shit, you know.
I love the Sonys.
I love the Sonys. Audio-Technica makes great headphones too.
AKG.
AKG makes some good stuff. But the biggest thing in the live environment is you have to consider isolation as well. Just because it's a great pair of headphones at home, if it doesn't block out the stuff on stage, it's not great for the live environment.
Right. Definitely don't use any open back or something.
Right, exactly. It's not going to work. Yeah.
I do like the Bayer DT990s.
Oh yeah.
I
Yep.
have those.
Again, wonderful stuff.
Really good.
Softer
The 770s.
But yeah. Any other things you guys want to go over?
I had a question from yesterday.
Yeah.
When the artist who performs before Kingfish,
Yeah.
Judith Hill.
Yep.
When someone else is handling the front of house for that,
Yep.
what are you doing?
Nothing.
Okay.
Basically,
Trying.
so really, yeah, specifically napping.
Actively trying not to touch
You know,
anything to
like
do with
enjoying the 5 minutes I get to myself. Realistically, what we have typically at front of house is what it is like either some kind of DSP or a swap over box. Like there's a company called APB that makes one. And what we typically send to whoever the systems engineer is going to be 4 major outputs most of the time. A left, a right, a sub, and a fill. Left and right, obviously you guys know what that is. Sub goes to the subs, and fill is if there's a front fill, you know, and most of the time there is. So if there's 2 consoles, I will be sending mine, and then they'll swap over to that person's for that set, and then as soon as they're done, they give the lead back to me. And usually that's just a nod, somebody be like, okay, you're live, okay, and then I put up my faders. But what will typically happen is that while that concert is happening with the opening act, they have at their DSP my inputs muted. That way, if you know I accidentally hit my iPod or something, it's not going live during their set. And then as soon as their set is done, they'll look at me and be like, "You ready to go live?" I'll say, "Looks good. Yup, let's go live." And then I push up my house music. You know, house music is also very important, not just because we're providing tunes for the audience, but I'm verifying that my PA is working. I'm verifying that my outputs are going where they need to go.
Don't play your artist as their house music.
Yeah, don't play your artist as their house music.
Also, you listen to that same track, your walk-in music during sound check in an empty room, and then you can hear it again when the room's all full.
And you can hear what kind of dynamic changes have happened in that time.
Sort of anticipate the kind of changes that you'll need now that the room's full. Because we've just heard the same song.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Do you? I assume, are you the one who selects all the gear that you use, or how does all that work?
You know, it's going to work different from organization to organization. In terms of like, when you say gear, what do you mean by gear?
Like speakers, boards, effects.
So
like
speakers I have no control over because we don't tour with speakers.
Yes.
I have to use whatever the speakers are installed in the house. The board, in this case, because you know we are the production company that's you know working with Buddy, we are able to choose what we're renting. You know, before we had these consoles, we had Yamaha consoles. Before that, I had Avid consoles. So it's like I will change what I want with the times. You know, like I like to adapt to what's happening, and so that's kind of why we've gone over the Waves LV1. Is it just feels like it's for us, it does everything it needs to do in a very small package, and that's great.
How do you feel about the Soundcraft ones?
Which Soundcraft ones?
'Cause I at my college, we did use like a red, a big red. I don't know the model, but that's what they use for their live.
They have a lot of the VI stuff.
The VI stuff is fine. The impression and the expression are, and the performer are horrifying. Yeah.
I'll be
Don't wanna
honest.
touch
My personal perspective is they could be flipped off the back of a truck into an ocean.
Yeah.
I don't
I've
like
never
them.
been
Sound
big
really
on sound.
good?
I've never
I mean,
been
like they
on
sound good, but for me, like again, it's like every
Workflow.
almost
Mm.
every digital console
For the
that
same
isn't a
reason.
piece of garbage sounds good, but I
Like you
hate the
were saying.
workflow.
Yeah, compressors and gates. You can set it on the console and use the knobs, but like it's great to use it on the computer because you get a visualize.
Yeah.
You can visual it.
Mm.
So Soundcraft doesn't really give you a lot of
Visual
visualization.
feedback,
Oh,
yeah.
Right. Well, they would use Pro Tools in relation with that.
So Pro Tools though is like when you're doing Pro Tools, like say we insert something into Pro Tools, that's in the playback. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like that doesn't really work. I can't insert a
live
Waves plugin into that unless I have a Waves Live system, which I then am integrating into my console. So, you know, you would have to have a whole other system that, you know, like those Soundcraft consoles don't have built-in plugins in them.
Mm.
You know,
You have the channel compressor
that's it.
and that's it.
And so that's part of the reason I feel like
Hell, even Behringer and Midas stuff has
You
like
get a
correct,
you can plug
correct.
you can see what you're doing. Right.
And for me, what really kind of determined this move is like almost every friend I have out now either has their $65,000 to $70,000 Digico or their $65,000 to $100,000 Avid, and and $20,000 worth of Waves plugins.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, for me, I'm traveling with 32 channels. I don't need the Digico or the Avid. I have my little LV1 that does everything, and all the plugins are native, so I don't have to run to another I/O and back. It's just inside.
All
And
built in, yeah.
that's why like for me, sometimes the simplest solution is the easiest, and especially in a job where I'm tour manager and front of house, I don't have the time to dick around. I don't. I need to come in and go, toop, it's on last night's file, okay. Link the servers, okay, they're talking to each other, okay, link up my Pro Tools, verify everything through a virtual sound check. Now I got to go BTM. Okay, so if I had the dream job of just coming out white glove, would I have a bunch of analog gear? And yeah, sure, why not? But realistically, it's like you have to take those balances of like, my employer's a lot more concerned about all my TM duties than whether or not it sounded perfect out at front of house. Okay, you know, like he wants to know that the money's being taken care of and the hotel rooms are being taken care of and the settlement's being taken care of, and that's part of the job. And if I'm distracting away from that because I'm worrying about, I don't know, the release time on my compressor, how much makes a bigger impact on the performance and how much makes a bigger impact on the organization?
His
So-
predecessor didn't use compression or gates or, for the most part, panning or groups or really VCAs.
And there's consequences of that. It never sounded good. You
Didn't
know?
sound good.
No.
What were the Soundcraft boards that you said were all right?
VI series.
The VI series is,
Debatably the VI series.
yeah, I mean, like,
But I think the
debatably.
entry point on those is like 20 grand.
Yeah,
But I
like
also would,
20 grand's a little
I would
bit
also
low.
say, like, if you're going to invest that level of money, like Allen and Heath make significantly better
I have an
consoles
Allen Heath,
that
yeah.
sound
Go buy
great,
Levantis.
that have incredible.
If you're gonna drop 10 grand into something,
Yeah.
I would look at like the Avantis.
And again, the Waves consoles that we bought that comes with 16 channels of I/O attached
Right.
was 95. Well, it was 85 when I bought it, but it's 95 now.
Yeah, just
you
about
And
buy
if you
it,
wanted
run that
another
with the
I/O for 16 channels to get you to 32, that's another what, 3,000. So you can have a 32 channel I/O and console with all Waves plugins for under 12 grand, under 13 grand, something like
yeah,
that.
and you can get 32 at the stage for
Right. And so for me, it's
like
like it's
15.
really hard to rationalize these systems that to me feel incomplete for what they charge. You know.
And I mean, that's
But
weird.
don't buy a console if you don't have a purpose for it. I
That's-
did that.
yeah,
It was
that's the other
expensive.
thing.
I wasted 10 grand.
Yeah, I mean this is another just general thing in general. This is like buying gear is not going to get you clients.
Right.
Get the clients first,
Yep.
and then find out what they need, and then either rent it from somebody, and if it costs too much to rent it, or it is more beneficial for you to buy it and rent it to them, then do that. But buying gear is stupid unless you have somebody that's going to rent it from you.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have everything in the box if you use some. If you have Pro Tools or Logic,
Yep.
and then you have an interface,
Yep.
you're good to go.
Yeah. I mean, for at least for the recording size, I mean, you know,
Don't mix a show in Pro Tools on an internet.
no, you can't do it. You can't do it.
Everybody has that thought once.
Yeah, and
Don't
then
do it.
yeah, won't work.
Don't mix. Don't use Pro Tools when
Use Pro Tools as an interface.
For recording,
to record. Yeah.
but it's not a live mixing
Please
instrument.
don't try and use it as a console.
No.
Yeah, it doesn't
Try to
work
do
as
it.
live mixing, yeah.
It kind of does a thing sometimes.
that's the thing. It's like you say some of these consoles don't have like any visual anything
Yeah.
at all. It's like I pulled up to a gig Friday, and I was pretty much just doing mixing. I brought some like crappy lights and my iPad and my computer, and they brought their XR, and I was like, okay, sick. I took one look at their settings. I was like, save file, right now. Pulled up my own stuff,
Mm-hmm.
plopped it on there. They had a house rig. It was some old ass, completely analog board. It was fried anyways. There's no power to any of it. And I was like, you know what? I wasn't going to use it anyways because I have this. I know it works.
Yep.
I've used this for God knows how long.
Yep.
And I can see it's just X-Airs.
Oh yeah.
I
they're
mostly
great.
use X-Air,
They're great.
X32.
They're cheap.
Not
That's
having
the way to
X-Air
go.
is amazing.
I mean, here's the
So-
thing
I
that like,
literally carry it around in the box still.
yeah.
To get
Why
through
not?
the gig because the house stuff doesn't work.
I mean, here's the thing with those is like I don't necessarily think that Behringer makes the best product sonically, but they hit a market
Yeah.
that they were very smart to hit,
32 is great.
which is portability, cost, and what it does. I mean, here's the thing. The Digicos, which start at ridiculous tens of thousands, don't have a built-in
Cheapest Digico
RTA.
is 20 grand.
They don't. They don't have a built-in RTA.
Some of them don't have the built-in.
Behringer
local
In a
inputs.
Behringer.
Fucking brick.
Right.
Some of them don't have local inputs like a.
Correct.
Oh yeah, you spend 100 grand on a Digico. It has 8 inputs and 8 outputs.
Yeah.
You have to go spend another 20 on a stage box.
Right.
You can't do much with 8.
I feel like Behringer's very budget friendly.
Like, I'll give them credit on
It's a
that
market.
front.
It's a
We
market.
have
it's like the
an
mid-size
M32
band, mid-size club bands.
On the road with us, just in case something
Mhm.
happens to one of the LV.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, we bought an M32R, and I'll be honest, it doesn't sound good.
it doesn't.
It's not a great sounding
But they're
console,
workhorses.
but they
Yes,
work
are.
and they're reliable and they fit into a tiny little frame. If you compare just the summing matrix and the preamps compared to another desk,
Oh,
it's
garbage.
two completely different worlds.
Yeah.
But in terms of like, okay, can it get through a gig and do? Yeah, it has all the tools. There's high pass filters, low pass filters. There's EQ. There's dynamics.
It can take
There's
full 32
buses.
inputs,
They
it
can take the
do
inputs.
16 outputs.
For what? 2 grand?
Yeah.
25
Yeah,
bucks?
if you drop it down a flight of stairs, you're not out all of your money. You know,
Right,
like,
it pays for
No,
itself
they're
in like
so
4
cheap.
rentals.
Right.
5 rentals.
so I understand it.
So,
It's like there's
you're
nothing
on
wrong with that.
Good track having that.
No,
mix
I
there
just-
to bail out of
X-Air,
gigs that
yeah.
have a broken analog thing.
And I mean, I didn't even bring my mixer. They said they were gonna bring one. They were like asking us like, "Hey, should we use the house mixer?" I took one look at it. Like pretty much any time I pull up to a venue and they have a house system, I was like, I don't have time to set this shit up. It's zero.
Yeah.
Completely zero. Nobody has time for that.
Right.
I pulled up to a gig and they had a really nice, like Sony mixer with some amps, and I looked at it. I was like, "There's nothing on here.
Yeah.
Like, what do you expect me to do with this?" So I just plopped my computer on top of it, set up my mixer, put up my subs and my mains.
That's how Eric Gales guy is doing it these days.
Yeah.
He throws down a new file on every console every day.
I don't know why.
He's not carrying a file.
That's. I mean,
Like he
Neither
builds.
do I.
He's not carrying a console.
Neither do I.
You build a fresh console or a fresh show file for your band every single day.
Yeah.
Well, why?
Because I don't really care.
That's
I
cheap,
I
right?
throw and go.
yeah.
I don't label my channels.
Oh, damn. Oh,
I'm
damn.
not doing any fancy
Yeah.
routing. I'm the guy that's like, all right, first 8 channels, they're all green, and then I got a dark blue, 2 light blues, I got a couple purples and a red, and
That's
then some
fair. If
yellows
you
for
just give me
vocals. and
But
a
you,
red.
Like,
you,
least
but
you
you
know
know
what
your,
goes where.
yeah,
I
you
just
know your
know my
stuff.
hash list
I know that.
really
I know
well.
that. No, I know that.
You
I
know,
mean,
it's
but
the kinda
that's
thing you work with the same singer
that's
forever. and
not
you're like,
something
"Look,
I would
I'm
advise
58
to other
in front of you,
people
and I
doing.
can do my channel without
Next he's
even
gonna do the
hearing
Dave
it.
Rat thing and not use console
And
lights.
Oh
I
my
think
God.
the other thing that you have to remember about X-Airs is they're so
They're very user friendly.
Yes.
you
Yeah.
and you don't need. It's not always appropriate to pull out a fucking X32
Right.
for a small little bar gig.
Yep. Where are you gonna put it? And then
Yeah,
somebody's gonna
nowhere.
spill a beer on it anyways, and then you're out. Yeah.
But
But the little rack with the iPad control, it's clutch.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just because you have a little bit of dynamics control.
The
On the
iPad is the
channel
most
that an
game
Alan
changing
Hayes
Yeah.
wouldn't.
Well,
that's hit live sound.
I mostly
This is
just
a digital
use-
console.
I mostly just use my little MacBook Air for
Yep.
the most part, which it's better to have a MacBook with the X-Air
Mhm.
because there are things that you can't do on the iPad. Like
Yeah.
you can't save and load stuff, and there's some other weird things that you can't do on it, or it's harder to access.
Yeah. Go get
But-
the mixing station app. It will change your life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I have it.
Spend the
It's
money.
worth- spend the
for
$5.
Spend the $5.
I did. I just have to spend the effort to go set it up.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
the part that I
and
don't
then it will
put
change your life.
Yeah.
Putting
Um,
VCAs
I
on
did-
that console is huge.
Yeah, but I did that, and so I have an iPad and I have the computer, and I kind of use them in tandem for whatever I need.
Yeah.
So it's nice if I need to walk around, go do monitors,
Yeah.
iPad, and I have a iPad with like a little stand, like a fat case, and a
A little
strap
wrist
I can
thing,
put
yeah.
on my arm.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Hey, it gets the job done. All right. Well, I think in the interest of time, we should zero out the consoles. Help
Yep.
Neil get this place put back to a clean and nice environment. I really appreciate you all coming, and I hope this has been fun.
Yeah.
And we'll keep doing more of them if you want.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
I'm gonna.
Actually, Eli, what was you said there was a Telefunken?
I don't know where it is, but if
It's
you
literally if you just go to Telefunken
Multitracks.
Multitrack, just search that, you'll be able to find it.
Cool.
Oh, yeah,
If I ever have any
they publish
questions, do
all
you
that
think I can
stuff,
get your
huh?
number?
Yeah.